There we go. Let's get this started. Try. Come on, computer. Stop being like this. Let's do an intro. Huh? What are you clicking on? Good evening, Ender. Get to face view, I guess. Come on, computer. All right. Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. My mouse is lagging all over the place as if I was playing a shooter game and gonna lose terribly. But that's not what's happening. It's just a desktop. And so it's actually interesting because like you're almost ready to click on something and then it jumps. So what I need to do first is send the invite to the co-hosts and then we will get started. I've got the browser up. I've got the notes up. I need to check to make sure you guys can actually hear me. Where's the button for that? Check. Come on, computer. Be nice. Be nice. No. You had it. Yeah, yeah, right there. Okay. Did you mean over here? Oh, how about over there? No, I only moved the mouse an inch. Okay. Um, I see the comments are working. As I said, good evening, Anders. And let's see if we can't unmute it and hear myself. Check it, check. I see myself talking, but the mute button isn't going. Any day now, it'll click the right place. Yes, it's working. Good. Um, Next, we've got the lights on. Unmuted, but I still hear myself. Hopefully, you guys aren't hearing like double. Maybe I need to just restart the computer instead of the browser. Typically, it's been the browser. Not now, as we saw what happens when I interrupt the stream last week, where I clicked the wrong button to bring Patrick in, and we ended up with a mess. Speaking of, it's not showing that it's allowing them in, so let's um, come on, click it. Okay, it says it's on, so now I just need to go to email. Come on, there you go. But how's everybody else's day going? I imagine that it's pretty good around the world. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. And for those of you who forgot to call mom, I'll remind you at the end of the show to give mom a call. Because if you haven't already done it by now, it's probably kind of late. Not too late, but kind of late. Angelo says number one. Yes, thank you. And I clicked email. I don't see email. So first up, since I can't seem to get into email, let's go ahead and switch views and go to presentation view. We'll look at a video that I'd found for you guys. It's going to be a shorter news day unless I get distracted with some stuff as we find what we did come to see, but that's okay. I've got some updates for you on the project. Let's click watch again. There we go. Let's click watch again. You clicked, you flashed. All right, so I don't know if you can hear it or not, but there's like a klaxon and uh, a PA voice warning people about what's going on here. We've got a battery swap going on this electric semi in China. And while that goes, I will again try to get the email working. You know what? If I launch it again, it won't launch twice. Oh, and it pops up now. There. All right, and then it restarts. Oh boy, what's going on there? All right, so I will stop it because even if you guys can't hear it, it's not very pleasant in my ears. Oh, I see. The crane is coming out. That that wasn't in the video that I found of this. It kind of cut off as it was about to mate, and then the gantry goes away. It's pretty cool. The scroll bar is lagging too. Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun day. I'm scrolling. Oh, you know what? I am scrolling. It's a Mac, so scrolling the way I want to scroll is scrolling the opposite way because Mac. I didn't buy their stupid non-ergonomic mouse. So let me find out what's going on with that. It says it's on. Uh, it says it's enabled. So let's turn it off and turn it back on because I need the mouse wheel to work correctly. There we go. And now we'll just try to start the email program up again, which brings it to the top, allegedly. Oh, there it is, right on top of you guys. All right, so I tried to move it out of the way. I probably shouldn't have done that. I was doing this all over the screen. We're going to mark this one as unread because I haven't read it, whatever it is. Oh, uh, mark it as unread because, like I said, I didn't read it. We're gonna make a new mail. We're gonna send it out to a couple people. Give this a little PCC action. We'll do LD, GP, MC, and PC. Today's 12th of May, Mother's Day. And paste that in, and we'll send it. And for those of them that are on Messenger, we'll paste this in the Messenger window and hit send, and we'll get back to talking about this battery swap. Uh, they are, oh, whoa, it opened twice. Like it opened and it switched back to where we were. This is going to be fun today. Good thing it's a short amount of topics because uh, that would be so fun. Come on, computer, come on. So the other one that came up in this thread was kind of a throwback, and I didn't see it till today while I was loading the program. But you guys may have seen this one. It's kind of a goofy little play. But you've got the one where the Model 3 has got gigantic double A's getting changed out. Uh, and then Dan, one of the co-hosts who hasn't been on a long time, he gave us the topic as well. You can't open this application because agent is not responding. I'm not trying to open any applications. Stop it. Oh, and it scrolled off the screen. But you guys have probably seen this before if you've been on social media. I'm not trying to open an application. I am trying to close your dialog boxes. Hang on, let me go to the process viewer and end that not responding application because I don't need it. And if I can't click on anything, that makes the show not work very well, does it? Can I start Process Manager up the same way? Yes. Not the Windows command processor on a Mac. I don't know the key command on a Mac for Start Process Viewer. And it won't let me click to see what you guys are saying, even if you knew. Oh, that might work. Or Command Tab, whatever. Come on, come on, come on. Yep, that worked. All right. Oh, it's called Activity Monitor on this system. So we need to find something from Logitech and destroy it. All right, and force quit because it's not responding. It doesn't matter. Okay, good. It stopped popping up messages. And we will minimize Activity Monitor because we don't need it anymore. bring back our view. There we go. Come on. Are we doing the backward scrolling crap again? We are. What in the world? All right, let me reverse the scroller. Come on. Usually all my computer problems are before the show starts, not after. And I do apologize for this. It may be amusing to some, but I know to most people it's not very engaging. Left and right click are switched now? This is going to be a day. And I don't have viruses, so it's just something is just wigged out in the computer and it doesn't want to play nice. All right, so we sent the invite to them. We got to the right place for Messenger. 01010 says hi, hello. And click here and paste and send. Okay, great. Come back to you guys. And then the last thing I want to do is pop you into a window where I can see right here in front of the camera. So let's right click. And that didn't do what I wanted, but that's okay. The next story, I don't even know what it is because I found it on the phone, so it's just a tweet. It doesn't say what's in the tweet. When I find them on the computer, it gives me a preview of what they are when it goes into the notebook, which I think is kind of cool because then I can kind of rearrange them on the fly if I don't take the time to rearrange them ahead of time. All right, I do see the output projector is starting up. That's great. And what scroll direction do we have now? Up, down? I don't know. Both? All right, so the next one is also by the same character, Electric Felix. And so we will copy the link because I have no idea what window is going to try to open in this time. Remember last week, the windows were opening all in the YouTube window, which was super useful. And if it does that and I need to find the mouse, we're going to have a bad day. So I'm just going to manually copy and paste it into the same browser window, even though prior to the show it didn't prove itself necessary to do that. As we see, though, the system got a little wonky once I hit go live. All right, so this next one, like I said, is also from Electric Felix, and he says quite literally breaking. Fisker, an Austrian subsidy of the U.S. electric car maker Fisker Automotive, has filed for insolvency. That is not good. The company has submitted an application to open a reorganization procedure with self-administration. The Klein Zeitung reported on Tuesday evening, and he also tagged Fisker Inc. Should we say well done, MKBHD? Always be charging Fisker and bankruptcy. While it is kind of a funny concept to think that MKBHD can single-handedly end companies, they do it all by themselves by making products, services, or supporting products or services that are not consumer or business grade. And by that I mean if you're selling to businesses or to consumers, and your customer doesn't get what they're expecting. And while there have been many Fisker advocates out there, there have been a lot more. There's nothing wrong with the Fisker advocate. While there have been uncritical Fisker advocates out there, uh, there have been many more people looking at this with an open eye or getting burned by either the product, not physically burned, but having a bad experience with the product or the service of the cars. And as we saw with the little video where Fisker was trying to find, how do they messed his name up? They said MHBKD, MB. Either way, they mixed up his letters, and then they said, "Oh, he doesn't matter because he's not the customer." And this is just one incident, but if the quality is like what he found, and if they behave like this, and it's more of the norm than an accidental situation, well, not accidental, but like a one case that fell through the cracks, then you can survive that. But if you're just generally messing it up, your company won't last long. People ask, well, why weren't you too enthusiastic about Fisker before? I was being a realist about it. The first time around, there was a Fisker company, which is now Karma Inc. They didn't do so hot, and this was before the remainder of the fleet got flooded with salt water in a hurricane, and then immediately after set on fire because the salt water uh, wasn't well guarded against, obviously. Uh, and this was shortly after they had the little kerfuffle with Tesla where Fisker was accused of stealing design for himself. I think that we got a better looking car than that thing with the razor blade face, uh, with the Model S with the guppy mouth. And I was just being realistic. I wanted it to do well, but I didn't think it was all that compelling, and I didn't trust uh, the guy whose name was on the on the vehicle personally. But the products, they looked beautiful, and if they did what they said, that would have been nice. And this is just the German Fisker right now. The American Fisker is still. Oh, I take that back. I haven't been that into my news this week. As of the last time I checked, the American Fisker is still in business, and let's scroll down and see if we see some more. Uh, Radiatory says, "Good evening from Russia. I hope you're being well. There's a lot of stuff going on, and need to be safe." All right, so which direction is scroll going to give us today? Do we want backward scroll? We want backward scroll. So this one application has gone with the. See, I have a non magic mouse, so when you scroll the way you expect, it does the reverse unless you have an app to switch the views around. And I do have an app to switch the views around, but it's being ignored by this one window for some reason. Uh, but in the notes view, it's doing what I expect. So after this show, I will just restart the whole computer. It's going to be the only way to keep my sanity, because after this, I've got to do like 6 hours of school, and then I've got some more work to do on the project as well, the HV Nomads project. I am just moving the notes off of you guys now. That way, if anybody comes into the co-host window, I can at least see that the view has changed. They usually have to let me know that they've arrived. On our web-based version of the software that we use on the Tesla Life show, it'll say, "Hey, Mark has arrived," or "Patrick has arrived," and then I know to go over and push the "Let them in" button. This one, despite being by the same people, goes like a pin drop, Bing! And then if you're talking, you might not hear that. If I'm the only one on the screen, I'm probably talking. All right, so let's scroll down. Oh, sorry, scroll inverse and see what. Now we're going the right way? No, there you go. All right, scroll inverse and see. I don't read German, I'm sorry. We'll see if anybody else has mentioned anything. Only last month did I pass by the Fisker showroom in Munich. It was very peculiar to sit in a car that had no future. Wow, ouch. True, but it hurts. Can we solely blame him though? He didn't launch an unfinished car. Oh, Marquez. Yeah, Marquez did not. Marquez just pointed out that the car wasn't done. A lot of Chinese cars currently substitute the other brands now here. Yes, and that is something that's gonna happen here in the States if they're not mindful about making a quality product at a price people can afford. Because while we have never really had any Chinese cars pass crash tests here, it's just a matter of they didn't really have the desire to spend the money to, one, engineer the product to do it, and two, then take the cars to have them pass the crash tests. Because we do already have Chinese cars on the roads here today. Look at some Buicks and some Cadillacs, and a number of other vehicles that are American. Uh, they just were built to the standard, so they passed the crash test, and they didn't come from a Chinese brand name, so people just assume, oh, all cars made in China can't pass American and Canadian crash tests. That's not the case. It has not been a priority to date. My favorite was one of the first all plug-in EVs I saw, but by that I mean just pure EV, not a plug-in hybrid. Uh, there was the Tesla Roadster, and there was the Chevy Volt. Was it the Volt's pre-production or the Volt prototype? There was the Ford Focus prototype that I got a chance to drive around. That was fun. And then there was this Chinese thing. They called it the E6 or the EV6, and it looked like a ripoff of the Ford Edge combined with the Corolla combined with one other thing. And it had terrible crash test ratings, but uh, they're not new to this. You said you miss Volvo. Yeah, Volvo. Yeah, there you go. They're Chinese company right there. We have Volvos and Polestars running all over the country right now, and they are Chinese. They were Swedish, and now they're not. So yeah, to tell yourself that the Chinese are not coming to this continent would be not just like blinders on. It also shows a disregard for for what's actually happening because they're already here. But if we wanted to say, okay, well, it's not really the same thing. They were just an acquire or a purchase or whatever. If they can do it, the others can do it too. I mean, look at Canada. You've got the Model 3, the Shanghai built Model 3 running around Canada. All you need is one of those Ontario license plates we always see all over the place, along with the New Jersey license plates all over the place. All you need is one of them, and boom, there's the Chinese Tesla in in America. So to to be in denial and to think that they can't do it is not healthy to you. We've got right now we've got the battery origins, which we just loosened up. We've got the battery origin. We've got the final place of assembly. We've got a lot of protections in place um, to make it tougher for them to get here, but they can still come right on in. And if you continue to make cars that are too expensive, or let your dealers have them with low tires with no charge out in the back, the customer doesn't want to walk 1,000 yards through muddy fields to get a car that won't leave the lot. So yeah, if you do that, you can say, oh, our blue brand model truck or our blue brand model SUV, nobody wants it. Take it back. You can do that all you want. We were just talking this morning or I say this morning, this weekend, on one of the Volt groups where Chevrolet's having trouble getting parts for the engine, the gas engine on the Chevy Volt, and some folks are saying, hey, I go in, come out, and over the weekend the car is ready to go. And others say that their car has been in the shop for about 6 months without the part. And the general conclusion in there is that one, Chevrolet is having trouble getting the parts remanufactured because the original part supplier went out of business. We're talking about emissions control parts, particularly the EGR valve. Um, while that is not happening, there are some dealers that have been able to have a quick turnaround on a part that's out of production. So it's a matter of, does your dealer care? I would take it a step further and say it might not be that the dealer doesn't care, but if the dealer was never really cognizant of the fact that EVs are coming and they're here to stay, they might not have spare parts just sitting on the shelf. Or if they're a smaller dealer and they didn't sell that many volts, not because they didn't want to, but because of where they're located, it's rather expensive to acquire the parts and then to warehouse them. So if you were caught flat-footed because they didn't deal with very many Atkinson cycle engines at Chevrolet before, so as a dealer and service department, you might not have known that all of the EGR valves would end up getting clogged up, so you wouldn't know to keep any on hand for a rainy day. Or if you were smart enough to figure all that out, you might not have known the company would go out of business to know that you needed to stockpile them for a car that ultimately didn't sell in high enough quantities to really concern yourself with. Uh, but like I said, there were the cases of, oh, that doesn't have a charge, the tires are flat, why don't you come look at this? Mama Jamma pickup truck instead. It'll make you feel good and be a man. Those ones, obviously, I would say they probably did do it with malice, but the rest of them, I'd say it's a bit quick to jump to, oh, they want EVs to die. Next comment is, how about electric vehicles using in the extreme temperatures? For example, in Canada in the winter or Mexico in the summer. We're good there. The EVs that we have on the market today, they can stand -40 without being plugged in for about 24 hours. And in summer times, not really a big deal. I don't know about Mexico, but in Arizona, we get up to, 115, 125, and they're good again in 130 for a couple hours, about 23 hours without being plugged in. So if you are in one of those extreme cold climates, we already have an infrastructure set up for the gas cars called block heaters. And so there's already electrical outlets right there. You just, instead of plugging in your block heater, you plug in your EV charger. And it will, on such a slow charge, it will not necessarily recharge to full, but it will be able to do its health maintenance, keep the heater on, circulate the fluid, that sort of thing. And it's getting better with time. Like right now, we've got advancements in lithium ion phosphates, we've got advancements in typical lithium ions, and they're getting more robust, more long lived. And as we do battery recycling, for some reason, I don't understand the physics of it all. Once you shred up that battery, reprocess and re-refine the battery grade material you just shredded up, and when you put it back together, like something about the atomic structure of the next the N+1 packs, they hold better charge, they have better discharge, they have better charging, and they last longer. I don't. I read the paper, not the paper. I read the abstract of the paper, and over my head. Uh, but it is a phenomenon that's out there. Not that there are currently too many recycled packs out there, but we're working on that as well because just like lead batteries in this country, we're at like 98 or 99% recycled for various reasons, mainly safety, but most of the lead batteries out there are not virgin material. And that means that we're not out there in whatever constitutes a lead mine, which is awesome. And so lithium is the third most common element in the universe, but getting it battery grade, you're going to save money on electricity, you're going to save money on transport. It's like I keep saying, anytime you want to go green, you're not necessarily doing it for I mean, a lot of people are doing it for the planet, but you don't have to do it for the planet. You can just do it for your own financial well-being. And while some people say, oh, that's selfish, it doesn't matter what they think. It's working, right? He's doing the right thing. He's saving money. Boom, done. Uh, now, if there is another like looking out for it right there, that's even better. It's like when I just shrunk the window on accident, clicked too far to the right. Um, it's like when people ask me, like, you're environmentally minded. Why don't you care that Ethiopian children are doing this and that? I'm like, one, it's the Democratic Republic of Congo that we're worried about, and China. And two, if you pay more attention, the vehicle uses uh, a limited amount of cobalt, which we can also get from Canada if we're willing to pay first world wages and safety. And two, or three at this point, um, while environmental aspects were a concern for me, they weren't anywhere near the top. The very first option for me is safety of me and my family. And then I go down from there. Like, is it a cool car? Does it have high tech? How is the fuel economy? Fuel economy, I guess, is kind of right up there after safety, because I've always been a hypermiling nerd. But doing the environmental thing often will see returns for you. They may not see returns all the way right away. For instance, if you're one of the first people to get modern photovoltaic panels on your house, you're looking at I guess even now you're still looking at tens of thousands, depending on how you do it. But you're looking at a very substantial investment, and then you'd have to stay in the house to see anything come back. But if you look at it solely from when is this thing going to pay me back, most things you buy, except for real estate, don't pay you back. You look at an automobile, there is no, well, outside of the COVID period, automobiles don't pay you back unless you luck into a collector's car. So your thing is, does this do what I want? Now I'm not paying a bill to the power company, or it's substantially shrunken, or they're paying me. What is the value in that for you? Knowing that you're not putting stuff into the air, that's definitely something for me. And yes, there was emissions to put it together, but you know what? They're done. They're accounted for. So now, as I'm running this studio right now, completely on the sun, in fact, on a battery, completely on the sun and a battery, I'm not putting anything into the air. Otherwise it'd be methane or nuclear at this particular location, and I don't have to worry about my contribution to that. And since I'm running on the battery, the solar panels on the roof are still feeding into the grid, so I'm actually getting paid. Uh, Not a lot, and not that they'll ever cut me a check. Uh, the two times they did owe me a check, they just held on to it till the next year, and then it rolled over into a bill. Um, but technically, they owe me money, which is kind of cool. And we're talking like $30. But wouldn't you rather your electric bill say -30 than give me $300? I know I would, and did. So for us, when we bought this particular place, it had 8 solar panels when we looked at it. By the time we closed on it, it had 16. I don't know how that worked out. And I had the Volt, but then the Model S came up real quick. So got the Model S, and at that point, we were not equipped for the amount of consumption that we had. It wasn't bad on the bill or anything, but it wasn't near zero. So they were running. I don't know if it's the same one or a different one, but there was a program for solar at the time, so we picked up on that. Solar for the state and Fed, and we expanded the array out enough for the large executive sedan that we had purchased, used from the Ford store, and and that was fine for quite a while until we got the Model X, because I hadn't accounted for a large SUV that was the worst fuel economy and until the Hummer came out. But uh, of all the EVs, I should say, because 89 miles per gallon equivalent is nothing to sneeze at, unless you're looking at it in Model S or Model 3 terms, for instance. But the Model X is now 6 years old. Model X is now 6 years old. Did it pay me back? No, not at all. Have I enjoyed it? Did it keep my family safe? Have I been able to make utility out of it? Absolutely. Uh, right now, I think that its value is ridiculously low, but that also means that all the new ones are more affordable. So all of that to say, I haven't tried to calculate a payback on it. We paid off the solar cells in under 18 months, because what we got at the time was called a bridged loan, which meant that it was 0% if you paid it off by a certain time, and if you didn't, they would backdate all the interest to when you picked up the start of the project. That was fun. Like, we got to the last month, and they're like, "Yeah, you don't owe us any money this month. You're good to go." I was like, "Yeah, I do. Let's get this out of the way." And I was just checking every day. Did they credit it? Did they credit it? I probably should have got it done a month before that, but I didn't. But it all worked out. So anyway, don't be afraid of them. Like we saw in Chicago, that was a accumulation of perfect storm, if you will. You had the Chargers kind of having their onesie twosie errors. You had a whole bunch of rideshare drivers who didn't know how to preheat their battery, or that you shouldn't park the car with a frozen cold low battery. That you should navigate to the station to get the preheating going, and on and on and on, and all of that stacked up to get the glitzy glamsy newsreel of, oh my goodness, look, people in Chicago are waiting 20 hours to charge their car. It wasn't ever that long. I think we've got an article about it this week, or we talked about it last week, about how EVs do in the cold versus maybe it's Tesla Live Show. How EVs do in the cold versus gas cars, and it's not what they've been telling you in the news. because gas cars also are affected by the cold. It's just that when you're holding 9 to 20 gallons of gasoline, it's a lot easier to not notice what's going on unless you're a hypermiler and tracking every fill up. I'm like, oh man, this was instead of getting 20 miles to the gallon, I only got 15. Or instead of getting, in the case of my Prius, 65 miles to the gallon, I'm only getting 40. What the heck? It's a lot easier to not notice it at that point. But the other thing to look at is a great many of the EV owners have a place to plug their car in at night, so they're always ready to go in the morning. You can't say the same thing about, it was cold that night that you were coming home. It's looking at 5 degrees below freezing. So let me just go on home and I'll fill up tomorrow after work. Light the gas lights on, and then you go to work and like, oh shoot, the thing's still on, but now I got to go do this and that with the family and go to the grocery store. And next thing you know, you're either having to make a just inopportune stop way out of your way, way out of your schedule to replenish that range. Or if you're one of the unfortunate few, well, I say unfortunate few, if it's your turn that day, you're going to come back with a red can to go solve your problem. And thankfully, I've never run out of gas, but well, that's not true. I've never run out of gas on accident. I've run out of gas. Well, I take that back too. I ran out of gas on not necessarily on accident, but because the town had a pipeline cut, and so we didn't have any gas. I was in the Prius, came coasting into the last gas station with gas, right as the engine cut out. Christmas trees, just every light came on, is beeping and blinking at you. Uh, but I'd gone to 3 gas stations that prior to that one, and came up empty because they were out. Uh, then the reason I say on purpose, aside from that one, is I've run out of gas in the Volt like 6 to 12 times. Just me experimenting around, like, what if I do this? And just driving along and go, it's out of gas. But it still had battery. So then you put the gas back in it, and it angrily fires it back up, and then keeps running it, wasting gas until it's up to temperature. And then it will use it to generate electricity. And then after a little bit longer, it replenishes the reserve, whether it needed to or not. And then it shuts down, which is always a pain. Because for me, the Volt was always burning a couple tablespoons of gas right before I got home. It's like, thanks for that. We could have used some reserve. I would have plugged you in and you'd have been fine. But it's not the way it was programmed. So yeah, that's about the heat and the cold right there. And let's see what else. This one isn't Mr. Felix. It is a waiting on the mouse to participate. It is a article from Electrek. Come on. All right, copy link. There we go. And let's paste and go. Well, I first have to right click. I've right clicked. I'm waiting for the right click menu to show up. I got this beach ball. All right, there we go. Paste and go. Wait for the mouse to stop teleporting all over the screen. Go. And hope the click went the right place. It did, yay. All right, we're scrolling the wrong way. Electric cars are saving Americans billions, even people who don't drive them. So this one, I understood the notion, but I didn't know where they were going just from the headline alone. So I took a chance to skim through it, and basically they're talking about kind of the stabilizing effect. We've talked before on the show about the duck curve, and with the duck curve is uh, showing that in the middle of the day we have a surplus of solar, even if we don't have anybody to use it. And then as people start coming home for the evening, solar is starting to go down because the sun has gone down, or started to go down. And with the EVs, since you have to build for your worst case scenario for the grid, the EVs that all come home at night not all at the same time and plug in like these nuclear family uh, dystopian movies. People always say, "Oh, what are you going to do when everybody's plugging into the grid? The grid can't handle all these people plugging in at one time." You're right; it can't handle all these people plugging in at the same time. But you know what? They're not plugging in all at the same time. Eventually, through the evening, they may all be plugged in at once, but they didn't all plug in together. And it's just like with air conditioning. Uh, the grid couldn't handle that at first either. Texas apparently still can't. But people would come home and they would click it up a notch, and people still had to do stuff on the way home. You had to go pick up the kids from school. You had to go to the grocery store. You went out with friends. Not everybody came home at left home at 5 o'clock, and they didn't all live a block from the office or the factory. So they didn't all get home at 5:05 and then turn on their air conditioners, and then whoa, the grid has destroyed itself. The same thing with EVs, except that now instead of being an air conditioner, it's the same load on the grid as an air conditioner. Unfortunately, um, we're not all getting home at 5:05 or 5:10 and plugging in the EV at full charge. Some people are plugging in on 110 outlets. Some people charge at the fast chargers, which is even more of a strain on the grid. But uh, the way most of the fast chargers are set up, you're not going to do that right after work because they'll charge you extra because of demand charges. So we've got mechanisms built in for this. But anyway, I'll get home, or I never left home in the case because I work from home. But when I did, I'd get home at whatever hour I get home in, plug in, just because the sun is still up, and I would rather maximize my solar consumption. But if I had time of use and they would give me an advantage to charge at night, I'd come in, I'd set the timer for, let's call it 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, or 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Let's call it that. The car would plug in, it would just wait, and then the time would arrive, and they would start drinking from the grid. But here's the other part of it is we're not all taking full trips of the full battery every day. I mean, I did yesterday. We went to IKEA to look at some stuff. Um, we're not always draining the battery. We're usually, the average American drives what, 40 miles a day or less. So we're replenishing 2 to 5 kilowatt hours. It's not a lot. It's not hard on the grid, especially as we stagger that output. But see, here's the other part of it. As we all do leave for the day at 5 o'clock or 5 to 7 o'clock, let's call it that, the office is shutting down the air conditioner. They are. So now you've got excess capacity on the grid. So what you can do is you can slow down the plant, right? But these plants are built for steady state, and it's really hard on them to slow down. So they'll even run incentives. We've seen this in Australia where they're paying you massive amounts to waste electricity. If you can store it in a battery or heat up some water or pump some water uphill, any number of things you can do to use that electricity without wasting it. Even if you do waste it, they don't care. They're paying you to take that electricity off their hands rather than slow the machine down because as they slow it down, it's going to take longer to spin it back up when the time comes. And again, as I said, it's harder on the machine because it wasn't built to rev. So now you got to add in the extra maintenance cycles for that. So the gist of this article is that that stabilizing factor is saving Americans billions of dollars on their EVs, or not on their EVs, but as a society. It's saving us billions of dollars on the equipment, on the fuel, on everything by being a stabilizing factor. And this is before we have vehicle to grid and the mega batteries and all of that included in this calculation. Think about what that will do if they're doing the same situation where hey, we've got this much extra wind and the coal plant can't shut down and the methane plant is running at full power and we don't want to shut the nuke down. We'll give you $1 a kilowatt hour to fill up your car. Oh, I've got a car with a nameplate of 100 kilowatt hours. Let's fill it up from zero for whatever reason I get down to zero, right? That's $100 in my pocket. How would you like to get paid by the power company to use electricity? Or worse, look at this. We saw with again Australia in the Tesla big plant where these same systems again not only are they not built to rev, they really can't rev. the order goes out that they need more power. It's going to take them 15 minutes to respond, whereas the Tesla Big Battery is able to respond in milliseconds. Boom, there it is. And so now the coal plant didn't need to, not the coal plant, the methane plant didn't need to spin up. Actually, Australia might be coal. The plant didn't need to spin up, and the battery had solved it before it even got there. The demand is gone again, back to normal, and everybody's happy. Then at night, that battery refills itself while the demand is low. Or during the day when there's more solar, but for some reason not an increased demand in air conditioning. And any number of it's the way that these batteries can respond so quickly presents an even better opportunity than the billions that's already saving us. So that was pretty cool. And that was in electric, and it was called. Let's go to the top. Because I didn't read the whole thing. I read the part where I needed to read for the discussion, because that brought up the point I wanted to have. Sometimes I'm discussing what's going on. Sometimes I'm like, hey, this brings up a thought of mine. And this was that. And you've seen me do that in weeks past as well. So this is from Electric. Electric cars are saving Americans billions, even people who don't drive. Oh, and not to add for any plants that are not filled by train, you save the wear and tear on the roads as well. Right, this next one, I think it's part of the same article. Yes. All right, so moving on. It was a link about like 9 rows long. Then there was a gap, and I thought it was another link, but it didn't start with HTTP or HTTPS, so I determined it was the same link. It depends on where I found it. Like if I found it from Facebook, it really gets some really long links. Or search gets some long links. X will have really short links. And I'm lucky if I remembered to do the actual tweets that spawn them. Oh, spoke too soon. Fisker is closing his California headquarters. Report. The automakers warned of layoffs and potential bankruptcy. And that's not the look for me, but I mean, look at that. That's pretty sleek and modern looking. Click here, scroll here with the arrows. I can't scroll with the arrows? Fine. I'll do this inverse scrolling with the mouse. Mainly it's the way that it looks like it's got a grill. It's not me. Reminds me of like the Lexuses and Toyotas with their the hourglass thing or the maw. I'll scroll the wrong way. So, news of the impending closure was broken by Business Insider, who received tips from 3 different Fisker sources that employees were asked to gather their belongings as part of a move to the company's R&D facility in La Palma, 40 miles away, warning employees of prospective layoffs and closure of facilities. Wow. So not out of business, but bankruptcy is looming, and you can't really just get out of a corporate lease like that. So that would imply they haven't been paying the bills for a while, right? If they're going to get locked out, or that they've very quickly found somebody to take over, or if they did own it, they sold it. Robert sent a message. Let's see. Somebody got a gold YouTube play button. That's nice. It wasn't me. uh, yeah. So the concern now is I didn't realize that the whole 7 years to 12 years, depending on what number of people we're talking about, of support required by automakers was not actually a thing. So there is no escrow fund for um, these Fisker Oceans and whatever that are out there if they become abandoned. If there's something left to charge, yeah, they have to support the warranty. And further than that, they also have to support the emissions. But if they're just gone, who is there to charge for it? And then you're just dangling in the wind. Let's just call it that. I had to watch some more Brian stuff to get learn how to subtly get his obscene jokes in there, right? But It's not a good place if you own a Fisker. I'm sorry, and I hope that they do the right thing to make sure there's ongoing support for you. And I feel for the employees who are now staring down uncertainty and having to find fresh employment in this market. But that's the news. What we got next? Where's the cursor? This one was fun. Come on, computer. Copy the link. Let's see if a key command will work. Command Option L. And Shift L. Oh, I don't know what that does. Is it just Command L? I think Command L just opens the bar. Command L. Oh, that's not what I wanted either. I keep clicking the wrong thing apparently. Command L. Alright, so Command L goes to the bar. Command Shift L. Oh, you know why? Because that is a Windows command. And it'd be Control Shift L pastes and goes to in Edge. I think Internet Explorer too, but if you still have Internet Explorer enabled on your systems, you need to stop. Elon Musk outlines upcoming Tesla full self-driving updates, which means don't hold your breath, because the man can't read a clock to save his life. Has given an update on Tesla's full self-driving updates with V12, the upcoming launch of Tesla's dedicated robotaxi. There's a lot of excitement going around the self-driving effort. He's again in the all too familiar position of predicting that the automaker is close to releasing a true full self-driving system, but the path to get there is still far from clear. Now the CEO is providing some new comments on the upcoming release schedule for FSD. All right. That flash was checking to make sure you guys were still okay. This was something he said that was kind of interesting. 12.4 has almost completely retrained models. The final touches are for comfort, as it sometimes accelerates or brakes too fast for most people's taste. I actually like that the thing just launches, because that's something I like to do regularly. Like yesterday, we were getting off the interstate, and on the off ramp, there was a cop on the, I don't really want to say the gore, but there was a sidewalk uh, curb, dead space, where there was a cop up on that. Then directly in front of us, in like the little 6 inches of shoulder plus the lane, was another cop facing us as the lights are on, and behind him was a car facing the wrong direction. Don't know what was going on. That it was like a gold Accord, and so I stopped. I wasn't sure what to do. Assessing the situation, then the cop on the curb shines his spotlight on the little bit of a gap that was left, and I was like, okay, but he's got the bright blue lights flashing, so I can't see anybody coming, and so I launched it. I waited a second and realized that there probably shouldn't be anybody coming up past him, right? So I launched it, and that was fun. Because how often do you get to launch in front of a cop and they can't say poop about it? Anyway, we were also on 17%, so even with the P100D, it wasn't much of a launch. The car enabled traction control for a little bit, and then we were off, and then the light turned red, so we stopped. But when I launched it, I only launched 2 speed limit, so no big deal. And yes, so back on topic. Tesla FSD drivers are currently on 12.3.6. That is me. And the point 4 update is expected to be a bigger step change, which Musk appears to confirm by saying Tesla completely retrained the models. And then he goes on, if I scroll the right way. The CEO recently said that Tesla is no longer constrained by training compute power after bringing more capacity online, giving the FSD team more opportunities to retrain neural nets with increasingly cleaner data. So with that statement, they have claimed now that they can get everything done in 2 weeks, roughly rolling 2 weeks. And if whatever comes out tests okay, then we'll start to see it in the cars. If it doesn't, then we won't start to see it in the cars. And so far, since version 12 has gone out to the masses, that seems to be keeping up because when 12.3.5 was ready, a couple people got it, and then 12.3.6 came out, a couple people got it, and then more people got it. And so if this 12.4 doesn't have any major regressions or failures or weirdnesses found in the testing, they'll push that out to the fleet as well. I do have a legacy car, so I didn't get everything that was in 12.6 for everybody, such as the touch to park, but I have noticed that mine is even more not aggressive, but it's more willing to point out parking spaces that I've lined it up for. It's like I can do this, I can do this, and I'm always in places where parking that slowly will uh, irritate too many people. So I don't do it. Especially why bother since my smart parking algorithm hasn't changed yet. But some people who have the new cars, but also have the ultrasonic sensors, there's an option for you to turn off the ultrasonic sensors and use the new vision only system. If you've used that, I'm curious how you like it compared to your classic system. I've heard good stories from the folks who have been waiting for years to have a car that could have all those features, but they didn't have ultrasonic sensors. As our friend Patrick says, it's a Muskism to jump out of the plane and pack your parachute right after you've done that. And that was certainly the case with the vision only parking sensing. All right, so the top comment by Ilias or Elias. I had FSD for 5 years. It was an interesting paid beta test. The day I can work or watch Netflix while my car brings me to places, I'll pay the subscription. Now it's like buying a calculator and checking with a pen and paper if the results are right. Yeah, but it's a little more useful than that. As somebody who does use it. Speaking of playing games or whatever, I found out that Mercedes Level 3 does let you play games on the screen and stuff while it's in that mode. But like Edmunds, they have a test fleet where they buy the cars and they test them. They bought this one or tested this one. I don't know if which was the cases for this. They said that it was almost impossible for them to keep the conditions in that zone that they could where they were on the right road under 40 miles an hour, following another car during the daylight on a map road, so on and so forth. Uh, that just to do the demonstration for their video and article that they found it frustrating. And then I found out that it was $2,500 a year for that feature versus the $8,000 that I paid one time 6 years ago for this, which is nice. Or the $99 a month that you're is it 99 or 199? I think it's 99 now. Yes, because the EAP people didn't get a discount. The $99 a month if you rent it. Um, yeah, I can't take my eyes off the road or hands off the wheel, but it's a lot more useful in a lot more places to justify itself. And it's like I've always said that it seems that whatever price they're charging is one step ahead of where it actually is. But again, jumping out of the parachute or jumping out before your parachute's ready. So like as we added the stop signs and stoplight control beta, and they raised the price for that, it's like okay, now I think it's worth the old price. And it just kept going on like that. But then they had a reset, and I feel it's closer to reality right now for the pricing. If you go for the purchase, or if you go for the rental, still think it's just a little bit ahead. But now if I had to do it again, I wouldn't feel ripped off, taken advantage of, I should say. Scrolling the wrong way, inverse scrolling on this window. Must then continue about the updates. 12.5 and 12.6 are in various stages of testing. We're getting into rare complex situations. I should have put the mouse on where it was. Rare complex situations. For example, going down a narrow one-way road, encountering a road closure, and having to reverse out to find a new route. That closure also needs to be communicated to the rest of the fleet so that you don't get a whole bunch of Teslas stuck down a road. And that part right there is interesting because it's the first reaffirmation we've heard of fleet communicating in real time in many years, actually. It's not that the fleet already doesn't communicate, but it kind of does it through the mothership, where, and I'm not saying that this wouldn't use the mothership, but not just through the mothership, but through the mothership and like map updates and stuff. For example, the Raven cars, they added the ability for the suspension uh, to learn various bumps in the road and get that to the other cars through some mechanism to make sure that they pre-adjust their suspension as they approach these patches. And then the rest of it would kind of come through training. But then the next thing that's kind of new here is, as I've said since like some probably version 10 or 11, once they changed the gear selection to blue when you put it in FSD or even autopilot, that that was a sign that they were going to bring in gear shifting as part of the controls of the car, and you would need that for robotaxi anyway. And other people saw this in action, but not with it shifting gears, but where it took advantage of being on a substantial downhill or something where the car peaked out and it's going uphill and needs to back up, and so we just let the brake go and roll back down a little bit and then put the brake back on. That wasn't a very common thing, just like how mine would occasionally respect speed bumps, but most of the other time would try and Dukes of Hazard, which is not good for a 6,000 pound automobile on on airstrokes. Uh, because it wasn't really built for that. Not like the Cybertruck where you have a Baja mode, but the Model X wasn't meant for off roading, and for it to get air is not a good thing for it. There's no timeline for these upcoming events beyond the fact they are currently in internal testing, but Musk did say that 12.4 could come to the Tesla fleet as soon as next week. That adds up. Uh, Hopefully, I'm in the early group again with that. I enjoy being back in the early group, even if I don't get all the features. So Electrex Take says, again, I'm impressed with 12.3.4, or 12.3.3 and 3.4. He just got 12.3.6, so if this is Fred, then he's in Canada, so that would explain him being a little bit behind us. And I haven't had time to test it yet. I do plan to do that this weekend. Also, I've been saying that if I start seeing decent improvements with the upcoming updates, I'll start to see a clearer path to Tesla finally delivering on its promise, or at least a level 4 self-driving system. However, as usual, when talking about FSD, and especially when praising the system, I think it's important to remind everyone that the keyword in he flipped the ordering, it's full self-driving supervised, is supervised. Drivers need to remain attentive at all times and be ready to take control. Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, what did mine do recently? Aside from still being just very willing to jump out into traffic from a blind left, I can't think of the point that I was getting ready to make there, but one example of it doing something interesting was sometimes it'll do this where you're on a two-lane road and the people start to do that thing because somebody in the left lane isn't not using it for just passing, so the cars are stacking up on the passing lane. Um, that thing where people try to, you stay in the non-passing lane for as long as possible because you're not going as fast as the rest of the traffic. And then people behind you start to speed up because they see it's your turn to kind of come over. The car's like, all right, I fit here, and they started to move over, and the person behind us didn't flinch, and so it started to go back. So I took the yoke just a little bit to keep it on that trajectory because at that point I had already asserted that I was in the lane. Well, the car had already asserted that we were in the lane, and I just kind of kept going because if he hit us at that point, that was driving following too closely. Um, there was plenty of room. I would not have tried it if I was manually driving because uh, I like a 2 second following distance in both directions. I like to make sure that nobody's going to hit me and I'm not going to hit anybody else. And and it was just at that 2 seconds, and the guy was closing it, and the car said, "No, you aren't," and then the car flinched. So that's an example. But it was a smaller car. The guy uh, did did do what I thought he would do, and he backed off. So that was a calculated maneuver that I probably shouldn't have took. But we were talking about another 15 cars back because of the way this guy was closing up, and I didn't want to wait at doing 20 below the speed limit for 15 cars because when they do that weird stacky thing, the guy who's not going even the speed limit in the passing lane, and it wasn't two trucks. Um, uh, who knows how long it's going to take and how many more cars are going to stack up in the back. And in the moment, it felt right, and it worked out. Man, people can't drive for jack these days. And not talking about just me being selfish, but the way they were doing that thing was just it was all over. And then we got to Charlotte, and there was a what was this car? There was a BMW doing the BMW thing, but it wasn't the one I was complaining about. There's another car. It was doing like 10 to 20 over, weaving through traffic. No signals. The We're talking minimal following distance, like not even half a second reaction time. They were just in rare form yesterday and all through the night. Even we got back to this place at midnight, and they were still just wilding out. I don't know. Maybe it was a full moon or something. Uh, make sure I'm not missing any comments on the multi stream real quick. All right, while that loads, I'll find the next article. Ah, yes, Bill Gates' pipe dream. Gets a little closer to reality. Paste and go. And I said go back to the comments. And I did say paste and go, did you not? Go. All right, so as I said, Bill Gates' pipe dream was the world's largest vacuum to suck climate pollution out of the air just opened. Here's how it works. So what we're talking about here is direct air carbon capture. And what that is just like it says, you suck carbon dioxide out of the air, and then you make a reaction to sink it into rock, and you're going to make limestone and store it underground forever. You can also use that carbon directly to make e-fuels, which is Toyota and Porsche and a couple others as pipe dream because they love combustion engines and they think that this means they can have their cake and eat it too, and that somehow it's not also going to poison disadvantaged communities and continue to contribute to asthma around the world. The point is, even if you're not making the needle move, continuing to combust when you don't need to is beyond selfish. And I'm not saying right now that we are yet ready to go all electric all the time, electrify all the things. Uh, we're getting there, and for more and more things every day. Like for instance, I wouldn't expect the trucking industry to be able to do this overnight because we've got what 45 Tesla semis. Speaking of, I don't even have an article for this one. Costco and Walmart have been spotted running Tesla semis, and Brian at Future Asa determined that the one with Walmart is actually owned by Walmart. They looked up the registration numbers and they match Walmart Inc., which is really awesome. But to suggest that means that we can go EV only semis right now is naive. Uh, to suggest that we should have already been there for trains when we went diesel electric locomotives decades ago, yes, trains should already be all electric, but they're not either. Sadly. So anyway, just that was just me harping on e-fuels is being a pipe dream, and it's, it's not it's not it's not doing anything for us. I mean, it's better than continuing to take fossil fuels out of the ground and burn them, but it's not as green as these people want us to think. It's it's a very selfish band-aid. That's all it is. And beyond that, it's more expensive than the other things, so you're gonna have a hard time convincing the general public to do this unless you were to pass a law or something. However, I don't think it would be wise to pass a law on e-fuels right now because of that increase. Like right now, um, I'm not even going to compare our fuel prices to around the world in like Europe and such because I know they're low. Um, but let's look at hydrogen at $36 a kilogram last time we checked the price. If e-fuels are even half of that, then we're looking at uh, when you run it through the American system. I don't know how it would be for you guys elsewhere, but if you run that, you're gonna destroy a good portion of the economy if you forced $15 a gallon on people when they're used to paying like I don't even know where we're at, somewhere from 3 to 6. I know I saw a picture of a Californian station charging 7 the other day, but I think it's that same station that's always making headlines just by being too expensive. And I think the reason they stay in business is because they're the only choice in that area. Excuse me. But e-fuels aren't the only non-throw it in the ground solution for this. You can use it to make other things that we make with hydrocarbons. You can make fertilizers. You can make plastics. You can make um, hybrid materials that just need carbon, and that's pretty cool. So this will be the largest one in the world. We'll see how it does, and hopefully they're powering it with renewables because I know that Bill Gates doesn't believe in battery and solar on scale. And he's wrong, but he is right that it will be expensive. So that was direct carbon capture. Let's look at, oh boy, this one Dan gave to us, and I was thankful that he brought it to us, and my response was aggressive. Let me go back to it. Okay, there's that. Oh, the whole thing is in for scrolling again. You know what? I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to restart the computer after this and call it a day. Because while I'm doing my studies, if I have to sit there and mess with the reverse scroll, I will be not focused on the studies. Let's just say that. Where's the mouse? It's teleporting. Let's use the arrows. Does that work? It does not work. Page up. It's a Mac keyboard. Page up should work. All right, I'm dragging the scroll bar. Okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Too far. Dragging the scroll bar. All right. So my response to Dan was the slant on this one is strong. Destroying a substation for more than just Tesla and a bomb threat, if not a real bomb, is not just, or they said is just protest, as if they have legitimate concerns and are just picketing. And then I continue on. I'm not saying their rather extreme complaints aren't legitimate. So before I continue on, I'm talking about the well, they're real, the climate activists in Germany, but the ones that are concerned about the water that we found out was later just that uh, the sewage output from the Tesla employees into the sanitary sewer system was more than these people want to see. Uh, and I do mean from them being living beings, food in, waste out. That's what these activists are complaining about with the water at the Tesla plant. Uh, and then a little bit of like the nitrogens and stuff from the little bit of waste from the kitchen. Again, food in, waste out, and then if you have waste food that never got consumed, it has a slightly different but very related uh, chemical signature as it comes out. They're complaining that they're using the sanitary sewer too much and doing bomb threats and arson and death threats overusing the sewer. At this point, more effective, more reasonable protest would be to ensure that either the sewer station that is on the other end of these pipes gets the upgrades they need to handle this effluent, or you get the local legislation to make sure that Tesla does a little bit of pre-treatment of their waste before they put it down the pipe. And I'm not sure that there's zero. I'm not saying that they're just going straight from the toilet to the sewer to the sewage treatment facility. They may already have some treatment going on before it goes to the pipe. But a bomb threat. And let me continue on with what I said. They could have killed several people on that power feed if their medical equipment was out for a week. The news report should report, not parrot. Me, as someone who compiles and filters news for commentary, should not have better standards than a multi-million-dollar company. And I told him I added this one to today's stories. So now let's look at it for today's story so you know what I got worked up about. I'll change this back to the view with you guys. All right, so climate protesters. This both sidesism. This is a logical fallacy that is widespread in the news across the political slant of all of the news reporting we have today. Uh, Before the loss of the fairness doctrine, they might point out that there are people complaining, but then they'd also point out, as I just did, that they're complaining about something that they have an outsized reaction to. But anyway, let's continue on. They try to break into Tesla's Germany factory. Multiple people arrested. So this is new after they had the Treehouse Village, and and these aren't all the same people, but they all have the same complaint about the water, the cutting of the cardboard forest. Remember that the site was used as a tree farm to make paper, to make cardboard, and then as part of their agreement to even process the land, they would take the cardboard forest, turn it into cardboard, and they'd replace it with native hardwood trees in a multitude. So if they cut down 10 trees, they would plant 40 native trees, hardy, survivable trees, rather than trash pine, non-native to the area, that sort of thing. So the German police have blocked protesters trying to get into the Tesla grounds at the Berlin Brandenburg, aka Giga Shanghai. Oh, no, Giga Shanghai. No, that would be quite interesting. Giga Berlin. Brandenburg police told a spokesperson on CNBC. The situation is dynamic. The police told them Friday that they are adding that there were multiple roadblocks in the area due to the demonstrations, and Tesla's pursuing a major expansion of its battery and car assembly factory and is facing local pushbacks over plans to cut down approximately 250 acres of forest. So, this one is obviously not just about the water. This one's also about the same reason that people have the tree houses, where they're like, you can't expand the factory. You're going to increase the trains. You're going to increase the trucks. Uh, you're going to increase trains and trucks to an area that was begging for jobs. You're going to increase trains. When we're complaining about trucks and emissions, trains are great for fuel efficiency. We're talking 1 gallon can move 100 tons, 100 miles on a train. 1 gallon of diesel. What's wrong with that? I mean, other than, like I said earlier in the show, the train should already be pure electric, not just hybrid electric. But we're talking really reasonable use of the fuel. On a dedicated track, low friction, strong. You keep complaining about how people aren't riding trains all over the place. Why is there traffic? Why not use a train? There's a train. And they're whining about it. We can't freeze everything in place. we will consume as a part of being alive. If you take us back millions of years, we're gonna need clothing, we're gonna need food, we're gonna need shelter, and that's all we're doing today. I mean, yeah, we've got entertainment involved in it all, but not to say that they didn't have entertainment back then either. To think that we would be truly zero impact overnight today is naive. And to do all this protesting of a company that is trying to make it better. All right, you're complaining about traffic. This They make personal cars, so they're not getting rid of traffic. But you know what's better than a bunch of diesel and gas cars just sitting there in that traffic, idling, making fumes and stuff? How about we make it an electric car? Now you don't have that local emissions right there. You know what? Oh, we shut down all the nuke plants because we were afraid of nukes in Germany, right? Well, what better way to clean up the emissions from all of these cars at once than by making the coal and methane plant put an emissions capture device on them? Okay, guess what? 1 million cars is now cleaner overnight. You can't do that with the gas and diesel cars that now have to ramp up to make up for the shortfall of electric cars. You're not getting these people off the road. They need to eat. They need to work. They need to play. And every time you put a train in, somebody steals all the money. So uh, unless you make the train deployments more efficient, you can't expect the trains to take hold overnight because they always go over schedule and over budget. And I'm not saying that the trains that exist are a bad idea. Although in America we've managed to screw that up royally, and to the point where you get your stuff shipped faster and cheaper via truck because it's not doing the tomfoolery with the trains. But that's just a matter of negotiating with labor to make sure that they don't slow it up, to make sure that they're not getting taken advantage of because, as we saw during COVID, they couldn't take a sick day. That is disgusting. So I mean, I'm not even saying that um, that I'm all on the part that labor unions are bad because no, I've never said that. Except for IF Metal's bullcrap, I've never said that the unions are bad. Um, I'm just saying right here that the American train system is not as efficient as it could be. That is all I'm saying on there. And then just like everybody else's train deployments, our stuff is over budget and over schedule. So to think that you can snap your fingers and have subways running in the boring tunnel overnight. I mean, yeah, you could put a subway in the boring tunnel, but why? It's already over its design capacity, and not by like it's not oversubscribed. It's overproducing from what was contracted. You can skip stops. You can do point to point. You can get the disabled folks in their vehicles at their own time frame, so you're not holding the bus up waiting for grandma's walker to get up on the ramp, or uncle's wheelchair to get loaded into the trunk. And then when he gets there, he can get out at his own time. He doesn't feel like people are pressuring him and rushing him to hurry up, because you already know that you're slower than everybody else. You don't need people reminding you that and making faces and making noises. And I mean, yes, it's rude, but you don't want to see it. I mean, not saying that he has every right to be there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the people who are showing their annoyance, it's rude. But how about everybody can run on their own schedule? It's point to point dispatch. Everybody's comfortable. Everybody can take their own time. If you're in a rush, hop in. Boom. One car passes you, you're done. You get to go in, and you don't have to stop at the 15 stops on the way. And they're all electric and solar powered, so you don't even have to worry about any of those emissions. Like if that had been just regular old taxis, like a bunch of Priuses stuck in a tube. These protesters, it is their right. They are not realistic about their demands. And as I've said in the past, I can't even look at them and say, well, why don't you protest the gas cars? Because they're doing that too. Like we said, they glued themselves to the floor at the factory and dealerships for VW. But to think any of this is going to make other countrymen not want to live their lives as best as they can is foolish. What you need to be doing is, if you want trains, make the trains come out on schedule, on budget, or better. It's the same thing we see with the politics on all sides of the aisle here. You've got these idealistic people talking about current events, saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to vote, I'm not going to do this because it's not perfect. We don't live in a perfect world. It's not, you're not looking for a mate. You're catching a bus. You want it to take you close to where you're going. You don't need it to take you directly to your house or to your office or to your shopping. Get on the bus. Now you only have to walk 1 block when you get there. Oh, this isn't taking me to my doorstep. I can't step off the bus onto my stoop. I'm not going to participate. What kind of crap is that? I would much rather walk 1 block than the mile. I guess let's call it 20 miles because walking a mile isn't really all that bad unless it's extreme weather. Uh, we're gonna have extreme weather if we keep up on this track too. But anyway, they're not perfect. They're, they're all the same. They're not all the same. Uh, some are going after your beliefs. Some are going after your very existence. You have to decide who is taking the bus that's closest to where you want to go, and vote, and fill out the questionnaires, write them letters. I mean, we all have different ideas about how it's going, but these people are supposed to represent us, and they're very responsive to letter writing. They're very responsive to phone calls, faxes, emails, uh, tweets. But if you don't do anything and say, "Oh, they're all evil, they're all liars," then they'll do whatever is coming from the people they do hear from, which is the corporate money, the secret shadow puppet dudes, telling them, "Hey, this is very important," and really nobody that they claim to represent feels that way. Let them know what you want. They may not do what you want. Like when I was a South Carolina resident, Lindsey Graham was doing some stupid crap on the internet, and I wrote him and the other guy at the time. I'm like, "Hey, don't do this. As a small business person who does business on the internet, you do this garbage, and it's going to mess with us small business owners." I didn't tell them anything else about where I stood or what I thought or anything. And he replies back um, in a very political correct fashion, "Miss Green, go bend over." One, I'm not a Miss Green. And two, that they heard me. They didn't respond. I mean, they didn't act on it, but they enough if enough of us had told them, "Hey, small business on the internet, South Carolina, don't fuck with us." Pardon my French. Uh, they would have at least taken more than 2 seconds before siding with whatever was going on for that thing. And thankfully, it wasn't just up to South Carolina, so their garbage lost. But had enough of us let him know that it was important for us, the party of business and small business and big business wanted to not help business, right? Or at least not more businesses than the one that had paid them to vote a certain way. If their phone was ringing off the hook for a week straight saying, "Hey, I cut grass, or I do hair, I make cakes, I run 8,000 grocery stores in the state," uh, if more people had told him that the internet was important to him, he probably still would have called me the wrong thing. But he would have said, "Hey, Miss Green, we are, we hear you and the other business owners in the state, and we're going to do this." Um, but it was me and I think 600 other people who did anything. So 600 versus $1 million, or uh, the deafening roar from the people who do pay him. He thought that was the right move. And then he didn't just go say go get bent. He said it very politically correctly. We're very concerned about small business, like this, that, and the other thing, but we're going to do what we think is right, and it's this other thing that you're telling us is not right for you. So you may think that politics doesn't affect you, but it does, and you need to participate around the world. I'm not just talking to my American viewers here. I'm talking to our European, Australian, Asian, um, European in Asia, my folks in Russia. Uh, I know some of you listen to and watch me in China. I don't know how. Uh, talking to you, there is a certain amount of representation going on there, and it may be one party rule, and we're gonna do it this way. But if you communicate in the bounds of what you're allowed to do over there, like if my wife was upset with something the king is doing in Thailand, she couldn't say that, but she could ask the king to do this, that, and the other thing, right? You'd have to watch your language and stuff to get to effectively communicate what you want to see and have it happen. I know it's not the same all around the world, but there is they are listening, and there are ways to get something done. You're getting on the bus that's going to take you closest. You're not looking for a mate for life. I need the one. She needs to be perfect. I need to get off the bus onto my first step of my stew. No, just little steps. We make the world a better place for those who come after us, right? Or we try to. We want to. So that was the last story. So the next thing we've got, I did a thing this week. I really dislike making web pages because I do. I don't know why. It's something I'm actually certified to do. Uh, but our little HV Nomads project is underway. Last week, there was not really any progress on anything because uh, 2 Fridays ago, I submitted the registration and other information I needed to get a title and a license plate to the state and actually to the local county, and it never left the post office that we can tell. The postal inspector, he called me back, and he hopes that it's because where's my visual aid? I use a standard number 10 envelope, just a regular letter white envelope. Uh, it had a pull tab adhesive, and it had the security hashing on the inside. I went to the mail out kiosk because the line in the post office was out the door. I only needed 2 stamps to send it off. I don't know what the current postage rate is, but mine would have taken 91, so took 91 cents to mail out because it had extra pieces of paper in it because you needed, uh, in my case, you would need a title, but I needed the MSO because my trailer had never actually been through uh, to get the manufacturer's certificate of origin uh, changed into a title. So I needed that, driver's license, the application, a bunch of other things to the point where the number of the bill of sale, number of papers was twice what a regular stamp would be. So it came out 91 cents. And something told me, hey, you've got this piece of paper that can't be replaced or replicated. How about we get some tracking on this thing? So I pushed during the upsell, I pushed okay, yeah, I want tracking. And they were like $12 or something like that. I said, that's ridiculous. But okay, I need to get this done. And I was like, well, I want to know that somebody actually received it when they got there. So I picked the certified. I want signature return. I'm not. I've been using the postal service my whole life, but I'm. Uh, it was on a lunch break, and I had the baby with me, and I was just not paying enough attention, and the thing kept trying to upsell me. So my 91 cent stamp came $21 and change. I got it right here, actually. came $19.17 from 91 cents, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it'll be there on Monday." Okay, no problem. Saturday comes, nothing changed on the status. Sunday comes, nothing changed on the status. Monday, nothing comes. Uh, Next Wednesday or Thursday, I call. You know, days after it should have been there. I call the office of the county. I'm like, hey, might have just shown up and nobody said anything somehow because again, it needed the I had certified signature return whatever, and is it possible that it slipped through all of that? No, no, it's not here. Okay, just making sure. Uh, that's why I set up the inspection with the postal inspector, and he said, well, maybe it's because you used a regular envelope, but you paid so much for it. It was expecting one of the big flat envelopes for the priority mail. They're gonna give it till tomorrow and see what happened. But the status is really that I bought the stamp. That's the only status they've got on the tracker. And so I asked him, I said, well, what happens if it's never found? How do I go on to the next step with the county? Because you guys have my original document that can't be replaced. And so they're thinking I'm registering a driving vehicle, and I didn't say anything to dissuade them from that. He said, yeah, we can't have you walking. I said, yeah, I don't want to be walking. Um, but we'll see where that goes. So the closest we did to any progress on it was oh, I've got something. We measured it. I'm going to change views real quick because who knows what is in my picture reel. Let's go to main view real quick. All right, while that loads up, we measure the inside of the trailer. Excuse me, with my little smart tape measure. Got everything into the phone. Realized I didn't know how to use the app. Uh, it was pretty straightforward, but I was not making progress with getting the app to. I thought I would be able to get it to draw um, everything out, but I did get it to the point where it thought I had a cut list, so I could make beams or sheets, and there were calculations I could do on it, but that wasn't what I was actually trying to do. I was trying to draw the outline. So let's go to, do I use Google or Microsoft? Let's go with Google just because I know where to go from there. All right, do I need to click again? It's not spinning. Let's click over here. All right. Oh, wow. That's neat. So I took it with the 360 camera and then sent it to the phone, and it looks like Google knew what to do with that. So let's see, upload it from Android device. It's a 12 meg photo. It knows what camera I used. I don't need you to have a location, but I don't even need the info pane at all. So let's close that. Oh yes. All right, so let's go back to presentation view. That is much more useful than I envisioned. I said presentation view, please. So I set the camera to my eye level. I took a few pictures, I think exactly 3, because I wanted to be able to um, load it up into like some virtual tour software and measure stuff if it were possible, if I forgot something. And if this does what I think it'll do, I should be able to scroll around the picture because it's a 360 picture. What I clicked on in the preview was the flat image, which wouldn't have been all that useful to the human eye unless you're used to looking at 360 pictures. And okay, so scrolling works. So it knows it's a 360 picture. So this is the inside of the vehicle. Pardon the mess. The baby wanted to help with everything, but she also wanted to be entertained. And what I'm trying to do is click and drag around here. Oh, it's working. Okay. Oh. Sorry, guys. Uh, that is the collar for the tripod I put it on. So I measured with my wife. We measured all the various protrusions and height, width, and lengths. So we get started with the layouts. Sorry, it's flashing like that. And so we got an idea of what we wanted to do with it. And it's very exciting. Oh, this would have been perfect if the computer weren't freaking out. And now that I know this, I am going to take more of these as we progress. Because even if my website doesn't support it, I can do a plugin or something that does support it. Or at least give you guys the downloads and let you load it up in some viewer software. So we almost got a completely clean roof, but uh, the guy didn't custom order this at all. So it's got a little extra height, thankfully, because I'm a little taller. And so it does have a vent that's going to get in our way when we go to do the solar on top. I don't know if we're going to switch that vent for a skylight or just like lock it closed, or I don't know what we're going to do with that. So I don't want anything coming through the roof other than a solar cable. And in fact, I might not even want the solar cable coming through the roof. I might want it coming through the side. We'll see. The reason I was thinking about replacing this with a skylight until I saw how big some of the skylight bubbles are is our plan is to use bifacial solar panels. So there will still be light coming through to look out of uh, through the skylight. Our venting, I'm probably going to repurpose the vents that came on the trailer. And I want to do an ERV, which is an energy recovery ventilation. Either find a small enough one for like a tiny house or Japanese apartment, something tiny like that, and put it in there, or make one of my own. The reason is I'm obsessed with air quality since I bought an air quality meter right before COVID at the advice of Swift on Security. The reason I did that was we were looking at what was they? I want to say she or he, but they. What were they looking at? Pointed out that in an office that they administered, that certain people would have headaches or fall asleep or any number of things when they had a meeting in a particular conference room and the door was closed. And it turns out that the carbon dioxide levels were getting too high in that room. And what we were seeing of their coworkers was literal carbon dioxide poisoning. And so I bought an air quality meter when it was on sale, and then then we had the COVID stay from home or stay at home. People call lockdowns that were so porous it wasn't even funny. Other countries they had real lockdowns. Like in China, you got welded into your apartment, right? That wasn't us. Anyway, I found out the apartment we were in was almost as bad as that conference room. So got to the point where for a couple hours a day we were running the extraction fans on the in the restrooms. This was still in Virginia, so you couldn't really just open a window in the middle of summer. So I had to run the air conditioner. The place wasn't built for ventilation, so you had to keep the air conditioner running. You didn't want to let all that out of just an open window. We're not rich like that. And so that's been something I've been acutely aware of for a while. So that's why I want to have an ERV because it keeps fresh air in all the time. But what it does is not just ventilation; it also it's very much like an HRV, which is a humidity recovery ventilator, where or it's a heat recovery ventilator. Sorry, the ERV will help you get rid of or keep the humidity level where it's supposed to be, where the heat recovery uh, will allow the humidity to build up, something like that. Either way, the ERV is better than the HRV. And there's a filter, and then as the fresh air is coming in, it gets filtered, and that's not what we're doing here. Come on, computer, play nice. As the fresh air is getting past the conditioned air, the stale air, if you will, the stale air is giving its temperature to the fresh air, or taking it. So in the summer, start in the winter. In the winter, your air that you've heated will go past the fresh incoming cold air and warm it up, and then it will exchange itself with the air that's already in the environment. And in the winter, well, it's winter still. In the summer, the the conditioned exterior air is going to absorb the heat from the incoming fresh air, so you're not running as much HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, to achieve the effects. Because what we want to do is, I don't know if we'll be able to achieve it. Our goal is R20 insulation on this before we put our little camper in it. So it'll be more insulated than most houses. We might only get to R10, but I want to get to R20. So the ceiling is going to have like almost 4 inches of insulation in it. And then the floor is going to be interesting uh, because I still want to be able to walk around without walking like this. Um, don't want to crick in my neck. I want to do probably 1 or 2 inches of foam on the floor, and then on the underside of the trailer, we're going to put the rest of the foam to get to the 4 inches. And then it's a little bit extra wide. So if we do foam out here on the wheel wells, then we don't have to count for the wheel wells. That would mean putting some insulation behind the wheels and tires if I want to do it right. Otherwise, I'd also have to do something on top of the wheel wells and they'd still be there. But they'd be further in. They're square. I might be able to do something inside the wheel wells. I will take a look. Anyway. It's a little bit wider than the rest in its size class, so losing that space to insulation won't be an issue. And what that'll allow us to do is we can run a smaller air conditioner, smaller heater, and a smaller unit like that means that you're then going to spend less on. You can use a smaller solar array. Let's see, Mr. Electric Car Lunacy says, can all of the 4 inches on the bottom be beneath the floor? Can't put a price on being able to stand up straight. You have a good point. I didn't even think about putting all of it on the outside. That is a good idea. I know this thing's got like a skirt all the way around it. So what I need to do today, after I restart the computer, before I start my homework, before I start the work we are going to do, I guess this can count as work we're going to do on this project, is measure how tall the skirt is. Because if I can come down to, let's call it to within a 1/4 inch of the bottom of the skirt with foam, I can do like the RVs do and put like a chloroplast, that stuff they make the political signs out of. I can do like a chloroplast underbelly because the tanks are going to be inside. Uh, I don't feel confident that we will never see a snowstorm, and it already sits pretty low. If you look at the website, it sits pretty low. So I don't know that I would not risk scraping the tanks underneath if I put the tanks underneath, unless I put them near the axles. So I'm thinking, however much fresh water we have, we'll put that in towards the center, and then the gray water, we'll do that as well. But we're not going to have black water because we're going to do, our goal is to try and do a flame toilet. And most of those, they really try to push you towards gas, but I don't, it's unplugged. I don't want to do any gas. So they have an electric model, but it uses like 2 kilowatt hours per flush. And my thinking is, uh, we don't have to flush it every time we do a urine cycle. It, let it go into the tank, but don't start the burn. Uh, it's already got a extraction fan that's always running to manage the smells. And then I'm thinking like once or twice a day, let it do its thing, and then after every solid cycle, because that's gross. Let it just do a full, because what it does is it turns your waste. It evaporates the liquid out the back through the venting, and then it whatever's left of the liquids and then the solids, it just burns them into a very fine sterile ash. And then we're talking like once a month, once every other month, you unlock the canister, you take it out, and it's already cold at that point. You dump it into any old trash can. It's because it's sterile, and and we're talking like maybe 3 pounds of ash every other month or every month. Versus, uh, I don't want to do the hamster thing, and I'm talking about composting toilets. You've got like mulch or cat litter or any number of things, and you got to crank it every time you use it, and you have to do a separate pee bottle if you want it to actually work and last and not smell bad. Uh, Most people don't use them long enough to achieve compost, and so you've really just got human waste inside of cat litter, basically. And I don't, and they cost a lot too, so I don't really want to do that. Then another option they've got is they've got the cassette toilets, which are it's like a chemical vat. So basically a porta potty, but like toilet size instead of like the big box. And so you got the blue goop in there, and I don't really want to mess with that either. And then you've got another option which I do like, but I don't really like the way they are executed. You've got the what they call the dry flush toilets, which are basically giant diaper genies. If you know what a diaper genie is you put the diaper in and you twist it, and then it can't make any smells or anything come out. So it's basically that for an adult. But you get like 16 to 20 flushes per canister. And you don't ever have to touch stuff because at the bottom of the canister, when you put it in, is the bag that wraps it all up and you can tie it up and then it's gone. But what concerns me about them is, again, only 16 to 20 flushes for 3 people. They're not exactly cheap. I mean, I'm not sure that they're not too expensive to use, but uh, they're a lot more noticeable than regular toilet supplies. And again, only 16 to 20. I don't want to be changing this thing all the time. What I have seen from all the various van life videos that have been on my channel, not my channel, but my feed for 20 years. um, some of them that have this dry flush, they'll put like crystals in for a liquid cycle, or they don't flush it for liquid cycles or whatever. I don't want to mess with that either. It seems to be like the next closest thing to what I want to do as far as not messing with mess, um, but without using a black tank and without, I still want it to be kind of that greenness about it. I know burning it isn't the greenest, but that ash is still full of. I mean, you can't directly use it because it's completely sterile. You can't exactly directly use it in your garden, but if you were to put some nutrients back in it and then stir it up into the dirt, it would add volume, like healthy volume. Let's see. 2 kilowatt hours per flush. That's a lot of solar and storage. Exactly what I was saying. So I'm thinking if we can flush it like 4 times a day, that's 8 kilowatt hours. But we're gonna need more than that, realistically. And that was the main reason I wanted to be so overboard on the insulation, because then that takes our air conditioner down to almost nothing. And I didn't want to. The whole point is no sacrifice, because I keep saying how doing the right thing for green is It may cost more in the current time, but as it becomes more high volume, more accepted, then you actually save money in the long run. Or depending on what you're trying to do, you're saving money from day one. But the point is not to have to sacrifice. I'm not saying I won't, because bringing this thing back, we had headwinds the whole way, and it was uphill basically the whole way because the Florida to South Carolina is where we have it right now. Although we're not too far from sea level right now, but to get up there's a grade to get through Georgia because we were in the middle of the states. Anyway, headwind and thunderstorms, or thunderstorms and a headwind, and our longest segment was 90 miles per charge. So that is a sacrifice, but it doesn't have to be. And but that's just us showing that it can be done. I know we're trailblazers here, so there is a small amount of sacrifice to it, but I want to be able to show that they don't have to change much about what they're doing, or be that cognizant of what's going on, to bring home my point that solar and any of the other environmentally conscious moves can be the right one if you take one or two at a time and you extrapolate them out. Like with my solar system here at the house, that was easy for me, a no brainer, if you will. Going electric without towing, we're talking anywhere from 200 miles to almost 500, actually over 500 miles, depending on what car we're talking about. And if you're, again, not towing and not overloading the vehicle, one or two adults, some luggage, some children, and 15 to 20 minutes at a charger of some sort, and it's keeping up with a medium range gas car trip, like within the region, like say from Virginia to New York, or South Carolina to Orlando. It's not that much of a sacrifice, assuming that you're not one of those people who dehydrates yourself or uses a bottle and chucks it somewhere. Uh, like if you make stops to stretch your legs, keeping up with, I think it was, I don't know if it's the whole military or if it's just the army, but to the point where if you have a certain length of a journey in hours, they make you get out and stretch. Unless it's like a special forces like situation, they're not gonna have you just sitting in the truck the whole time. You gotta get out. You gotta stretch, and unless it's like an ultimate emergency, and so uh, unless you're one of those road warriors, like the people we always hear of, oh, I've got a farm in Australia, and I got to ford through rivers and streams, and there's no fueling stations between my farm and civilization, and it's 1,100 miles, and I do this twice a week. Sure, you do. Uh, Not to mention that 1,100 miles divided by 60, if you could average 60 miles an hour, is 18 hours on the road. 18.33, 18 hours and a third on the road at 60 miles an hour. Yeah, you do this two times a week. I believe you. Uh, Unless you're one of them, you're going to make a stop. You're going to eat. You're going to use the restroom. And the amount of time you spend dealing with that is the amount of time that the car needs before it's whining at you. Why aren't you ready to go yet? I'm ready to go. Why are you still in line at the fast food restaurant? All right, if you wait another 3 minutes, Elon's going to charge you $6. That's been our experience actually at the toll plazas. We go in, we go to the restroom, we go order the food. Before the food is in the bag, supercharging is almost complete. Don't forget to remove your vehicles. Charges may apply. All right. Here, you wait in line to get the food because you can't drive. I'll run and move the car, and then I'll meet you guys at the front door. Oh, so all electric car lunacy. Yeah, trips planner, 4 hours rest, 30 or so, 4 more hours. Hotel. You drive further, disciplinary paperwork. You experienced it, so you know I'm not messing up. Yes, so I I I I think that this won't, even with the 90 miles, if that holds, I don't think it will hold. I think it's gonna be, better if we're not driving in extreme situations, but it is gonna get heavier. Right now it weighs 2,000 pounds, and it's definitely gonna get heavier. Water weighs 8 pounds a gallon, roughly. We're gonna have some fresh water on board to take a shower, drink, wash clothes. Um, so anyway, so at 90 miles, now we get to take it in the vehicle. Sit back, watch a short story, or take a nap, or just you're in a homey environment. You get to enjoy it. Plus, most of the people I'm talking to that do recreational trips, they have a cap really of about 200 miles a day that they like to do. That's not everybody. I have also met people who are like, hey, we're gonna drive through the night. It gets dark, we'll park, and then we're gonna get to Disney. We're gonna leave on Saturday, and we're gonna be there by Tuesday, no matter where they are in the country. It's all right. Uh, I'm thinking that what we will do is it gets dark, we'll park where we are, and then we'll just kind of just take it and see what's going on because we're not in a rush. We want to see all 48 states before it's time to take Moto to start school. If we do homeschool, that doesn't matter. Um, Still want to have it done before she starts school. If she's going to go to public school, then we definitely need to be done before that happens. Otherwise, she'll be getting truancies and tardies and all that. Mr. Aldrich currently said, yeah, every pass, every trip. Not just for quick recall radius, but also highway safety, because everything is critical risk. Management matrix stateside. Exactly. Exactly. Um, so I'm thinking definitely a little more than 90 miles. I would like to do, when I take road trips, I do run through the night. Like yesterday we left super late. We left at like, we arrived at IKEA at 5:30, and we got back here at midnight. And I really shouldn't drive as much as I do as a solo driver, but I do have my navigator. I do have my co-pilot in the FSD, and we do stop and nap or whatever we need to do if I'm not feeling good. Uh, but with this, it's you lose all that automation. It all turns off. So what I'm thinking is maybe 250 miles max at a time would be plenty for taking a leisurely trip. Now, if something happened, like we had a family emergency, and we had to get back to XYZ part of the country, I'd push it up and just, I'd probably drive more than is legal for a trucker, but I would do it. Um, Again, there's a place to sleep, take a nap. Before the baby, we would nap in the back of the Tesla. We'd fold down the middle seat. The back seat already tends to stay folded, and we'd have this nice fluffy comforter and these awesome pillows, and uh, I'd set a timer, and then she'd wake me up before the timer ever went off, saying, "Hey, it's time to go." And that was always fun. But to do it in a real bed, or have the length that the middle seat used to cover, that I can't fold anymore because the baby seat. So we want to try to achieve having a copy of our washing machine in there. Right now we have the GE Ultra Fast heat pump. Uh, I don't know how it's going to work out with the weight. It's huge too. It's quite tall. Um, but I'm thinking maybe we can use it as like a storage shelf. Uh, and then we also want to try to get a dishwasher in there. Not for like ultimate luxury, like, oh, I'm so bougie, I can't wash dishes by hand. What it is, and I don't mean a home dishwasher. I mean like a drawer, like you to the point where they usually sell you in pairs. You get the upper and the lower drawer dishwashers, depending on the price and that sort of thing. Uh, with a dishwasher, you use less water. You're sure it's sanitary, um, and it gets up to temperature. Whereas when hand washing, you're going to use a lot more water. You don't always get it up to temp because unless you're wearing those nice big yellow gloves, you don't always get it hot enough without almost scalding your hands. And as you can use more soap and more water. And if I can get one of those drawers And then we can have the other drawer to actually store the dishes. I think that would be fun and nice to have. Only time I ever go 80% on a trip is if I'm taking a nap at a vacant charger. I've slept plenty of times with have a charge at a rest area though. If it's time to sleep, never need to rush. Exactly. Get there alive. We do sometimes get to 90. There are a couple times the car has pushed us to 100, but that was back in the early days before the network was where it is today. It's still not done, but it is sufficient. For each of these stops, we got to somewhere between 80 and 90% before pulling off, just because the southeast backwoods is not as developed as it needs to be, which is probably also why some of the stops were like up to 90 miles. uh, Camper sinks are often shallow. Definitely try them out. I don't like the Coleman ones. Um, we were thinking of getting something from a hardware store or IKEA. We saw a couple sinks that we liked in IKEA that were uh, smaller in dimension, but they still had the depth that we're used to. And then we found one at Lowe's that was really nice, but I'm not entirely sure of the depth because it was on the wall, top of the rack, so I couldn't stick my hands in there, but I could see that it was the right dimensions on the outside. But that one is also in the running. We're not sure if we're going to buy pre-made cabinets and such, or if we're going to build them ourselves. The concern with the pre-made is one, the weight, and two, the dimensions. Uh, Making it ourselves, we know all that stuff is under control, but then it won't be as pretty as it needs to be because we're not really in a time crunch. But it's our first one, and so we're going to be looking at functionality over making it beautiful. Uh, yeah, Georgia and Pennsylvania both have weird gaps because folks don't want to build on smaller highways. Yes, exactly. Navy stage 2 and later should help. I hope so, because man, Navy would take care of a lot of that. The other reason we're not going to spend time making everything as pretty as it could be is we do have the weight concerns. This vehicle can get up to 7,000 pounds, but our tow vehicle can only get up to 5,000 pounds because it itself is 6,000 pounds, and it's equipped to manage 5,000 pounds. So those are going to be concerns. Now, you guys remember last week I told you about the Cybertruck options where you can get the gray interior. Did I tell you about that last week? You can get the gray interior, and you can get the ugly small wheels. Not that I thought the big wheels were pretty, but the small wheels are. Did you try? And it comes with more range, and so we're thinking we're going to go ahead and accept our invitation to order the Foundation series at that point. They said last week September, and I realized that was for the gray interior, so I flipped it back to white, and then it said July. I think July is too soon for our situation, but September should be manageable. So I'm going to go ahead and this week I'm going to go ahead and do it with the extended pack because we don't we don't really use all the space that the bed would need, and we've got the ability to pull a trailer. Obviously, we might have to rent something because this will be fully loaded at that point. Um, I don't think that having the full bed will be an issue for us because when you look at the Cybertruck bed, it's a funny shape. It is what they say 6 feet or whatever at the bottom, but then it's got these like shapes that come up and in, and so it's not that critical. Although if they do find a way to make the extender just part of the main pack or to fit under the bed, it's not to say I won't take it, but no guarantees. But I'm gonna try and complete the order this week, and then we'll wait on it. Because what would be more iconic going down the road than, I mean, it's already weird enough to see the Model X doing it, but it is very easily confused for a Ford Explorer. Uh, but you get the angle of monster. So we'll have I look at this picture. You'll have a Cybertruck right there, and this thing is already trimmed in silver, and it's kind of a gray. That'll turn heads. It will get people paying attention and talking about and figuring out what's going on. And then we'll be able to take the full 7,000 pounds because the Cybertruck can tow 11,000 pounds. We'll see how it goes. Brian from Futuraza suggested that we sell stickers to cover it. So I'm thinking that is a really good idea. And so far, I haven't finished fleshing out the idea and planning it out. What do you guys think about this? I want to do a 1-inch square stickers. Sell them in that size, and then if somebody wants 5 of them, they can either do like a Tetris line, or they can do like a 5-inch square, and then they submit the design. I print it, stick it to the sticker. Um, I thought that was cool enough as it was. Then I thought, well, what if we do like NASA? Like, they send a probe up, and then they've got a copy of that robot or that probe or whatever just sitting in a warehouse that they can pull out and test stuff with. So what if they have the option to get another copy of your sticker mailed to you? So you can say, hey, I've got this traveling the country. I thought that might be fun. Let's see. I was I was staying in Clarion last fall, halfway between Falls Creek and Grove City. I had to charge at EA. If I was in a hurry, Airbnb had my level 1. Yeah. Yeah, stickers like the Pikes Peak EV Racer team. Yeah, exactly like that. And then while I'm still not done hashing it out, but as I was thinking about that, you see all of these like RV families. They always have the obligatory United States map, and they put pins or stars or whatever as they get to places. I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to put this on the side that we see here, or the other side that you'll see while you're driving down the road in traffic. I think that would get more eyeballs to have it on the other side as people are passing us, because we're not going to be doing but 55 and 60 miles an hour unless we're going downhill, which means, except in California, people are going to be passing us. Actually, there too, people will be passing us, but I think you guys have a lower state speed limit at all, period. But have that just kind of be plainly colored, and have the outlines of the states, and then we can put like a little gold star, kid, you did good, or colored in with a marker. But then allow somebody to, like, say we do Florida, and somebody's able to design themselves a nice, pretty Florida. This is Florida. Or if they're not, into art, they can say, "Hey, I want to see a alligator, and I want to see some Everglades." Make that, and then they could pay for the sticker. I would design it myself. Say, how does this look? And then they say yes, and then during the next video or the next blog post, yeah, if I was putting it on top of the Florida, cover up where we colored it in with a marker, put it on top of Florida, and I think that might be kind of fun, because then it's not just us saying, "Oh yeah, we went here in Florida." It's like uh, the guy from one of the Four Corner states says, "You got the Four Corners in here. You got our state bird," and I think that would be more fun. Let's see. Yeah, trailer 55 in CA. I think I remember Transport Evolve mentioning that. Yes, yes, it is 55 in CA, but not everybody does that, and I don't know why they don't. I guess maybe the cops don't pull everybody over, but I'm going to be doing 55 locked in California, because I'm not coming back in 3 months to go to court or whatever, or worse. Again, only driver, having me locked up overnight while my wife and daughter are stuck on the side of the road. But I think that would be kind of a fun way to do that map situation that the other campers do. And if we're at a stop and somebody says, "Well, why are these ones colored in?" Well, colored in means that we've been there. Well, how come those ones have pictures? That means that somebody in that state, not only did we go there, but say Bob from Florida, excuse me, gave us this beautiful representation of what he feels Florida is all about. It'd be a nice conversation piece, and then you go from there to talking about, all right, well, this is all solar powered. We don't have any liquid fuels on board. We don't need a sewer. I guess that's not entirely true. We wouldn't need a sewer because we'll have the gray tanks, but depending on where you are, you can the regulations for gray water are different. Um, and there's no gas generator. There's no this, that, and the other. Minimal impact. But yet, this child right here is going to see the whole country before she starts school. And we did it with an electric tow vehicle, solar powered. I don't think that we're going to actually charge the car off of the solar cells, but if the batteries get full, I will definitely be putting in an outlet to siphon the rest of it into the vehicle so we don't waste it. But um, and I'll also track that trip. I'll say, this trip had this many hours of solar exposure. Actually, if I can meter it right, I can say, we put in 3 kilowatt hours uh, from excess solar into the Model X, something like that. That'd be fun. So anyway, from all that, I want to put like on the front nose, I want to put like a tusk that'll have the cellular antenna and the Starlink antenna. So that way, I don't have to quit my job to do this. During the day, I'll be working, and then on the weekends, doing the weekend thing. And after work, we explore. Uh, the space on the back of the trailer is going to be a premium. So much ad space. I think so, especially like you said, with people following us, because we're going slow. So I think that'll be a good idea to maybe put the stuff on the back as a premium, and then on the passing side, we'll put that map, and those will be premium too because they're gonna be more work because you got to cut the funny shape and all that. But get them done, and then I think just literally just to continue the whole thing, put a sticker on every square inch. I don't know if I want to do the clear stickers or the white stickers. The white stickers will show the art a little better, but I think the clear stickers will uh, blend better because it's got that chic uh, medium gray on the side. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I? I guess I should run a poll on that too. But what is your input on kind of getting the stickers on and having them visible if somebody's standing there, or having the little white squares and then they just kind of progressively cover the whole thing? But I even want to do the space under the solar panels, um, just so I could say, hey, every square inch has been covered by people who watch the videos every week. That'd be fun. But like you said, the premium ones and stuff that people can actually see, I want to do them. I just don't know if I want to do the white back stickers or the clear stickers because we've got the machinery to make both. And then for the bed, we want to do make the bed raise up to the ceiling so that during the day she's got room to play if it's a nice rainy day or something. And then at night, have the bed come down and then we can all sleep. And that way, there's room enough for me to do an office to do these shows and to do my day-to-day work because I need a laptop for work and I need a laptop for me. And then I think we'll probably do a TV, but we might have to get like a Facebook find like a smaller TV than we've got in the house because we've got a 55 still, and that's a premium amount of space. uh, yeah, corporate logos and donors. The back is going to be pricey. I like that. Yeah, sponsored by. I thought it would be awesome as if anybody wanted to provide the Cybertruck for us. We're going to use Corning insulation, so I thought it'd be funny. I told my mom this when I was grocery shopping that imagine it all wrapped in pink, like completely pink, and then the Cybertruck as well is wrapped in pink, but it's got the Pink Panther on it. And I was thinking I could use the boombox feature occasionally to play the Pink Panther tune. uh, I don't think any young people would get it, but anybody my age and much older would definitely get a good chuckle out of that every now and then. Uh, I'm not saying that Corning is a sponsor. I haven't even reached out to them yet, but something like that. I think that would be fun. Yeah. So then that was another question right there is if we do get a sponsor, but they're not going to sponsor the whole thing, like they're going to say, all right, we want 3 months. Would we put a wrap over the stickers for 3 months, and then when we unwrap it, just put the ones that came in after the fact? Or would we kind of incorporate the people who are already there, put them into the wrap? That's interesting. And then I ran it through one of the calculators and it's saying that in paper and ink, we should probably spend about $2,200 in paper and ink to make all these stickers. But I imagine that we could get less expensive paper. I can't do anything about the ink because we have the EcoTank printers, so you just pour them in, and you can't really change the ink once you get started with whatever you pick. Yeah. Let me check the other stream chat real quick. Yeah, so the bed, and then we want to do the back door. We the pieces were on sale at IKEA. Oh yeah, Robert's got some chats in the other one. He says it's thunder there. The council put a carbon monoxide alarm in the kitchen. It's 30 degrees C at 95 humidity. Ouch. Um, they're gonna take so the one countertop that takes one jug of water. I thought about those, but uh, if we are like say in the middle of the desert, I wouldn't have an easy way to go get more water. Um, Memories, plant-based sticker, mini projector. Yeah, the mini projector would be a good idea too if we can get it bright enough. We've got one from Samsung right now that if your shades are closed and you don't have blackout curtains, you can't really see the picture. But I imagine that another brand may have a more robust situation, like something that you would use in a corporate office, like where you dim the lights, but it's got a window and you can still see the projector screen. So maybe something like that. But the concern there is we got to keep the energy consumption below that of an LCD TV. Otherwise, we just go with the TV. New sticker for every donor. If someone doesn't renew the space, easy, print, clean, and stick. I like it. And then have a historical record for everybody who was there, and then for the new people, they take the premium space. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll write that down. Um, so we'll have the bed, the space, and then, like I said, on the ramp door, we bought this already at IKEA. We got this kind of like a wood slat, like a feels like a decking, and so we got that. You've probably seen it if you've been to IKEA before. We got the decking because it was on sale. But another thing they had, like it was on a seasonal sale, and it's gone now. We bought a couple patches of grass tile, so we could pull the ramp door down, and we're gonna put stabilizers under the in between the rubber, so that the tailgate doesn't drag on the pavement. If you were using it to load in like a lawnmower or something, we're gonna put kick legs so that it will stand up as a flat deck. And we got a mosquito net and an umbrella so they can, if it's a hot summer day, they can still be out there. And then they can be barefoot because it's got this plastic grass and the decking. And I think that'll be fun. And then on the inside, we haven't really decided anything about the layout except that we want the bed to go up and down, and we want to have a permanent space for my workspace, and then we want to have a reasonably sized kitchen. And then what we hadn't decided yet is how we're going to do the restroom. I was thinking that rather than try and figure out how to insulate the ramp door, I mean, we're going to take, before we put the decking down on it, we take out the wood that's already there, fill it with insulation, and close it back. But then you've still got that seam all the way around, uh, actually on all four corners of the ramp because it actually bends all the way down. It's not just like a swinging door. But you've got the seam all the way around, but particularly the three long seams that'll be easiest to insulate and whatnot. Rather than trying to figure out something with them, I'm thinking we just inside we make a false wall, insulate it, put in a house door that swings out the back of the tailgate, so that way they can get in and out without letting all the air conditioner out, and that can stay down without being a concern. So put a house door with a window in it. That way we don't have to worry about another window in that wall. Uh, then put the rest of whatever insulation wasn't in the flap. Put that there. So it won't be as strong as the rest of it, but then we're not figuring out what to do about that area. And then just inside that door, because So we were thinking like do a garage, like you sometimes see on like the van life people. They have like a place to put their mountain bikes and dry their skis and stuff. Not that we own any skis, but I was like, well, if we have that open so you guys can play, and then you come in to take a nap, do you have to close all that up, or somebody steals all the stuff out of the garage? So if we have that false wall just inside, or it's a real wall, but just make a new one just inside there with the door. Then we can have on one side we can have the restroom, and on the other side we can have that garage space. It just means that we are only bringing in and out stuff that would fit through a front door on the house, which isn't really all that restrictive. It just means that we can't use it as a toy hauler at any point. Oh yeah, let's move the lawnmowers from this place to that place. But we weren't really going to be a toy hauler situation anyway. Then the other things that we wanted to do, we want our solar system to be like super simple. We don't want to have all the pretty blue boxes from like a Victron system with all the shunts and all the nice neat wires. I'm not saying that I won't do that if say Victron comes to me and says, hey, or one of the suppliers comes to me and says, hey, we'll help you with your solar system, but it's gonna be this. Oh, okay. But I was thinking something closer to what you would see as a demonstration of, oh yeah, I can go do that tonight when I go home. Thinking, and I have reached out to them, EcoFlow, because that's what I've got in the garage here. A simple plug and play, and then an electrician installs your box. So I'm thinking there, we install our box, everything else, get my electrician that did this one to inspect it before we go, turn it on. Or if they don't want to participate, their stuff is quite pricey. And if I'm self-funding this, do something like a EG4 or uh, Grow Watt or anybody like that, where I can't afford it in a couple paychecks. Mount that probably to one of the walls or in a cabinet somewhere, and then we get a bunch of server rack batteries, enough to handle what we're going to be doing. And then since it's all in one, the only real wiring you're doing is from the inverter to the load center, and from the solar panels to the all-in-one, and then in between the batteries with each other. And then from your shore power, because just in case we're in the winter sometime, or we have like a week of clouds in Washington State or something. Oh, baby, 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 baby. How do I turn off the camera on this thing? Uh, so apparently Moto has just had a bath and has chosen not to wear any clothes. Come here. She brought me her clothes though, so I guess that's not choosing not to have clothes. Moto, come here, baby. Here, baby. More dance. Well, we're talking to the people right now. We can't dance until that's over, because unless you make the music, then whoever owns the music is going to try to take down our show. You did do. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know if the audio was on there. It said it was. Moto decided to come streaking in, and so I quickly dressed her, and now she wants to dance. Um, where were we? Appliances aren't super wide either, like 29 inches. What's the laundry plan? I want that heat pump washer dryer, but it would die with how furry my pup is based on what I've researched. So that's really cool right there. Our GE Ultrafast got a firmware update the other day, and it added in pet mode and then turned it on. They should have asked me. It's like, I don't have a pet, so I don't need it. But what's really cool is they, instead of getting everything wet and soapy and everything, what they do first is they turn on the fan on its highest setting, and they run it through. That way, all the cat, dog, and whatever other animal hair gets caught in the two filters before you even start washing it. And then it washes it, and they say it's like something like, I don't know the exact number, but it felt like 90% uh, less of an issue than the typical washer and dryer. So you don't have to like pre tape roll it and stuff if you've got a particularly hairy animal. Uh, like one of them sort of sheds a lot, breathes, and then after that it runs the regular cycle, and then when it's done with the dry cycle, it turns the heat pump off, and then it does another cycle of air to get any of the stuff that it missed uh, catch in the filter, which I thought that was really cool, except for the fact that it tried to turn it on me when I didn't need it. Uh, Smart, and it would help. Yeah, so that's the one we want to try to put in there. I saw that there's a Samsung one. I don't know what's special about the Samsung one. I know there's an LG one that got not as good reviews for various reasons. And I don't mean the LG stacker because that would be too tall for the space. And last I looked at the stacker, it was super expensive. And then what's most appealing to me about these all-in-ones, like our GE Ultra Fast, is you put in dirty clothes. It's got a hopper for that might have been the difference about one of the other ones. They didn't have the hopper. It's got a hopper, so it's got 30 loads worth of soap and freshener and whatever. It's just holding on to, and so we fill it up regularly. And the filter's so large that as long as you don't need the pet mode, you don't even have to clean the filter every load. I think it's like every three. We still change it every time because to us it sounds like it won't be as efficient if you don't if you don't if you don't give it a clear airflow. And in fact, one time we had run something through that and ended up with a mat of something a material on the wrong side of the filter, and it was like change the filter, change the filter. And I was like, it is changed. Then I found that and vacuumed it out, but so that leads me to believe that it would notice that something was going on in the performance. Uh, but it's so tall, but like you said, it's a normal width, and it's not a particularly weird depth, and it only needs the front open. Um, for ventilation. So we could put it right up against the wall, and we don't have to worry about like a refrigerator where it can't let the coils touch the wall or whatever. And I think that would be right now the best way to go. And it's a front loading, high efficiency, so it won't use that much water. Versus us kind of going to a all these various laundromats and various neighborhoods throughout the country, and Google doesn't always show you the safest, cleanest laundromats. It's just like here's the nearest laundromats to you. Don't worry about these other ones. And the problem, not just with personal safety and time spent out and about at these laundromats, is some of them are like gas fired, some of them are just running really old equipment, and so that's not running like solar first and all that sort of thing. One thing I want to try to find, Samsung's got a strap in plastic microplastics filter that they sell in Europe, and I can't find it here in the States yet, but they have it advertised for here, and I want to get that. Robert was telling me about he's got something similar because apparently those sorts of things are just easier to find in England. So I might have to reach out to the community to source something like this. That way, we'll have the microplastics we can dump in the trash, and then the gray water will have like the waste from the kitchen sink and the hand washing and the showers that will just go out wherever we are dealing with gray water at that particular location. I was looking mainly at the GE profile. I like the no dryer vent. Was considering putting in one in 16-foot camper and pulling with Model Y campsite to site. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what the full name is. I call it GE Ultrafast, but I think it's like GE Profile Ultrafast something or other. Let's do a search. GE Ultrafast. not ultrasound. Combo washer dryer. And GE calls it the GE Profile Ultra Fast 2-in-1 Washer Dryer Combo - GE Appliances. What's this guy's video say? Um, now I get no scroll? Okay, I'll drag the. Oh no, it's scrolling now. I'm still gonna drag the thing. Let's see. Come on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm dragging. Buyer beware. Honest review. All right, now I've scrolled too much. I'm gonna open this in a new tab because I will watch it. 3 months ago. I'm curious if whatever his brutally honest review is has anything to do with what I found out. Because other than that, like I said, that matte or whatever that made it past the filter that one time, and I think what happened there is maybe the filter wasn't all the way pushed in. Not sponsored. What we did do with our dryer outlet is that Schmanky? His reviews are usually pretty good. It looks like him, but the bit rate is super low. Yeah, authentic. That's Schmanky. So we bought a cap for the dryer plug and popped that on there because I didn't want anything crawling up the vent, or worse, rain and other water coming down the vent and then pooling and us not noticing it was happening. So we just got a cap kit, put it on there, and I like that it's 120. Although I'm going to set this thing up for 220 because of the three brands of incinerator toilets, one of them requires 220. Uh, and I don't know which one we're going to get. I don't know which one we're going to get, or if we're going to get it all, because we might end up with the dry flush. But like I said, I want to try to do that if we can get enough batteries and stuff. So I want to do 220, but this one only needs 120. So uh, our washer is actually powered by our portable solar cells in the backyard, rather than the grid or taken away from the roof solar cells, putting out into the grid. I think that's the review where he had to clean it out extensively because the stock filter wasn't seated well. Pet mode may help too. Once he talked about the filter well. I think that's how we ended up with that mat on the other side of the filter. Like I said, I don't. I when I do it, but maybe my wife cleaned it quickly one day and the baby was like dragging at her feet or whatever, and she put it in, but it wasn't in all the way. Um, she watched. I think it was either bath mats or like this super large king size Costco fleece blanket. Not a fleece blanket, but it's like this artificial material, and both of those things tend to really fill the filter up, and that was that color when I pulled out that mat. Um, that's all I can think of, and that was our only horror experience with the thing. The reason I like the all-in-ones, other than the fact that this one holds all of that washing stuff for us, like the soap and the softener and the whatever. Um, I was watching an interview with the one of the design engineers of this. I think he was the lead engineer, and then one of the other engineers. They both said that the average customer they had from the telematics of the system would keep their clothes in from anywhere from 2 to 6 hours before they would go and change it from wash to dry. And I was thinking, well, ours is never that short. And before I finished that thought, that lead engineer, he said, yeah, ours are much longer than this as well. And so you put in dirty clothes, they're dry, and then when you come back to them, they're clean and dry. I put in a automation to our home assistant server where I had set it up for when the state changes from running to stopping or stopped, but it wasn't registering correctly all the time. It would sometimes get it. So what I did was, uh, if it ever turns to stopped or off from any other state, whenever you've checked it, just say the laundry's done, which means that now it's going to tell us the laundry's done after a cleaning cycle, like where you put in the tablets or the powder and you say self clean. It'll still tell us the laundry's done, but I figured it's a minor inconvenience to never saying that the laundry's done at all, and be like, oh, I need new clothes. Oh, it's full. and that's just through their. They have you give your credentials to this third party plugin. And, like, what are they going to do? Start my washer or change the load while it's running? I'll disconnect the plugin if something happens to it. Not the plug in the wall, but the that or change my password, whatever it takes. I'm not that concerned with it. Um, yeah, so I want to have washing, and I know it's a little bougie, but it's also, like I said, a little bit of a convenience and safety factor. Just because I've run into some laundromats that were like, I don't want to stop here, and the way that the algorithm on the map search is set up, it could be just anywhere in the country, and like, yeah, this is the only laundromat, and there's really like three more, but that's just all they're going to show you. It's this one. No, the dishwasher also a little bougie, but again was more towards the savings of the energy and the water, because if we have 30 gallons, 50 gallons, 100 gallons, whatever we have, that's all we got. I don't know if we're going to try the recirculating shower situation. If we do it, I'm going to set it up so we're only recirculating that person's shower. Um, I've seen a few people who had theirs tested, and they found that after about a week's worth of washes, it was not. I mean, it wasn't unhealthy, but it wasn't to standard after a week's worth of washing for two people. So again, if we do a recirculating shower, I like the idea of being able to take a long shower, but that's a whole nother filter set and a whole nother water heater. And worse than a whole nother water heater is, since we're all electric, it's probably gonna be an on-demand water heater. And when I did one for my dad's house, that was 60 amps for a whole house water heater. I don't know what we're looking at for an on-demand unit, but we're probably gonna do a tank. I'm gonna try to get a heat pump tank. But if I can't get a heat pump tank, I'll just do a regular 4 to 8 gallon regular tank. And the beauty of the on demand in that situation is it'll only run enough to bring the temperature back up from what you just pumped in. And so if we're changing it every week, or not every week, if we're changing it every user, uh, then it's not really going to be doing that much work. So it won't be that bad to have an on demand, other than it's another high amp capable connection, as well as the weight of that system. But I think my wife would probably also appreciate being able to take unlimited showers and not have to do the Navy wash. Oh, water, soap, water, done. Because I don't have all that much hair to wash, but they do, and I don't know how that is, and I don't want to inconvenience them if that is something that we can do that's possible, and if they are okay with a recirculating shower. And it's gonna have filters on it, but filters and a UV, and I don't know if they're getting skeeved out by the concept or not. Let's see. Uh, GE profile will be a different experience. This washer dryer single piece combo stack has knobs and buttons. Oh, so that's like the GE version of the LG stacker. Um, yeah, we looked at the stacker, but it was never in stock when we were looking. And then when the GE Ultrafast came out, it was considerably cheaper than the LG stacker, because the LG was like 3 grand, and then you lose the ability to just put the dirty clothes in and be done. You have to then do the transfer again. Uh, I looked into on demand for a small house. Nobody washing their hands while I shower. It's a lot less work and cost. Yeah, we've got a gas on demand on this house because this is a natural gas neighborhood. They used to have a sign about that, and I noticed that the sign is conspicuously gone now. Um, but so it only uses, I think maybe 5 amps. I don't think it's using 5 amp. I think it's got like a 5 amp connection, so it can do the spark on the methane when it starts pumping, and then it has to run the pump and the fans and all that with electricity. But the rest of it's all gas. But I think, like you said, like a sink grade on demand water heater might be okay if we do the recirculating, and I set it up to, um, you turn on the hot water into the fill it up, and then does the recirculation, and then when you're done, you turn it off and you drain. Figure you'd probably do that with a sort of some sort of electric sump pump, and like for the boats, and drain that back out into the gray tank, and then that would just kind of leave the system kind of empty there, waiting for you to put another fresh run through. So how would I work that? Thinking if everything's like kind of a gravity back down, well, you need check valves so that you're not running back through the pump. But maybe everything could gravity fill out of the filters, so that when you open it, it's good. And then just divert whether you're going to the gray tank or going to the recirc. I'll look into it. They may even have commercial options by now. The current one is a combo unit with knobs and buttons, 8 years old. Oh, your current one, yeah. GE, but the cheapest discount dent thing that Lowe's had. Yeah, we had a stacker and a non-stack. I did a lot of LGs over the years. I say a lot. Talking like basically anytime I moved into a place, I would get the LG front load and the matching dryer. One year when we first moved into this place the first time, we had um, we had the LG wash dry, and then we did the stack washer. Like underneath it, you could do like your delicates, or if your kid messed something up, you could do like the kids' clothes. Or if you're doing cloth diapers, you'd have a just a cloth diaper cycle on that thing. And that thing was really cool, but it was quite heavy and expensive. I think it was like $600 or $800 just for that underwasher, and then you had whatever the regular washer cost, and then the dryer. And then we didn't do the pedestal for the dryer, did we? No, we did not do the pedestal for the dryer. So the dryer was a little shorter, but you could have also done the pedestal for the dryer. We might have done the pedestal for the dryer. I don't remember if it was short or not. Then you just had a drawer under there. You could store soap and stuff. Yeah. Uh, so then for the flooring, we're thinking luxury vinyl plank. So it looks like wood, but it's not really. Easy to cut, easy to maintain. Don't have to worry about the baby spilling stuff on it. Um, we'll already have all the insulation. I have no idea what we're gonna do for the wall skins. I know I don't really want to do like the shiplap, and I don't want it to be dark. Like a lot of people who do this end up with like it's really dark looking walls. We'll probably do upper cabinets for like above my desk, and above the stove we want to do uh, an air fryer, washing machine, air fryer, microwave. So that way, I think it'll use less energy than some of the other cooking methods we can come up with. There's lots of storage. There's no way we could do an oven unless we were to do one. It's going to take up a lot of space, and two, you're going to need 50 amps. They're just not really set up for that. And then again, with only having 16 feet of length, I don't know that it'd be feasible for us to do a real oven. So I'm thinking just a toaster oven sort of thing that we could kind of just tuck in the garage or whatever when we're not using it. Induction heat top. That way we're not using as much electricity to heat up like a red eye or the infrared cooktops. Because again, no gas. So that's why we can't do the camper oven or the camper stovetop because no gas. We're gonna have just a regular household smoke detector. Probably still the Nest because I like them. And I don't know how we're going to insulate the regular RV door either, because one, it's on the wrong side, and two, I don't know if it's got any insulation in it, or if we can replace it for something that's got some R value to it. We're going to cut in two windows ourselves, so that there's light. Talked about the ERV. Talked about the whole roof being solar. The mini split air conditioner, we're going to either have it mounted like near and behind the fender of the trailer, kind of like on a J mount, J-shaped mount. Uh, Worst case is we put it on the tongue, but our tongue isn't that long, and I don't really want to have to make or keep buying covers for it as the wind tears them up, or remember to have to tag out the fan with some sort of probe to keep it from spinning. Uh, what happens there is as it's exposed to the wind behind the car and is driving at 60 miles an hour, sustained, that's too fast for most of the fans, and the fans will fly apart. And even if the fan is hurricane rated, it doesn't um, stop the motor from inducing a current in itself. So then you may burn out the unit just by dragging it down the road. Patrick and I talked a little bit about this with it's like trying to drag a electric car all wheels down without the system being in ready mode, where the motor can induce a current into the system and destroy stuff. That's why you see in your manual, don't flat tow this vehicle, don't flat tow this vehicle. Because even though it's off, once you start dragging it, those motors will light up. They'll light up alive, even if they're induction motors instead of permanent magnets. Uh, you get them going enough, and like a good example of that is there's a demonstration where they have this heavy metal object and they pick it up and drop it, and then as it's approaching the target or the person's face or whatever, as it gets closer, it slows with eddy currents. It slows from the induced current, and then doesn't exactly hit it with that great force. So the person or object that was in danger is not actually. It's very similar to the opposite demonstration of that, where you'll have a professor standing in front of class. He's got a large metal ball. He puts it under his chin, and then lets go, and then it goes out, swings, and then it never comes back enough to hit him in the face. Similar to that, uh, in effect, but it's instead of gravity and momentum and air resistance, we're looking then at electrical induced uh, reluctance, which is really quite cool to see. So those are the big systems, and then basically we're going to go through as we build it and keep track of what's going on. And then once it's built, we'll do or mostly built, we'll do a shakedown, make sure we didn't miss anything, and then we'll start the journey where uh, we'll take it out. I don't know if we're gonna go north or south or west. It's gonna depend on when we finish this. If we finish it in winter, I'm not going to Minot, North Dakota, that's for sure. Uh, we're doing the 48 states, so it's unlikely you'll see us end up in Alaska or Hawaii. But if somebody says, "Hey, you don't have Alaska or Hawaii on your sticker chart," I want to fix that. If somebody wants to pay for a round trip ferry ride on for the X and the or the Cybertruck and the camper, we'll have a surprise video like, "Hey, we're in sunny Hawaii. Guess how that happened?" I think that'd be fun. Uh, if you set to collab with van lifers, exactly, that'd be fun too. Because basically, this thing is the size of, maybe it's a little bigger than the large vans, and I figure if they can do it, then we can do it. And we don't have to accommodate a driver's seat or a cabin. So all of that space is actually ours to work with. And then we get the extra foot or two in the V. And then if Tesla or anybody comes out with a high capacity van, I know that there's the Bright Drop. Problem for me with the Bright Drop is it only has 2 seats. Same with the Rivian, it only has 2 seats, and I need three. And I don't know about adding a third safely. And that's the problem right there. Is it's not just a lot of these van lifers. They'll just bolt in a seat. I'm like, that's my daughter. I can't just bolt in a seat. I need it to be certified. And you can go to one of the upfitters that does the like the wheelchair vans. They'll pop in a seat for you and certify it. But that's super pricey right there. And I don't know if they'll touch an EV with a integrated battery, a floor-mounted battery. Uh, I haven't seen them do a Model X or Model S yet, so I don't know if they'll do a Bright Drop or a Rivian delivery van. Plus, right now, they're not into the small business one unit orders just yet. But if the Cybervan becomes a thing, yeah, we'll start all over again and do that. But maybe we can take some of this and move it in there. That'll be something to try next. What I think would be really cool if the Cybervan is real and if it can tow the same as a Cybertruck, similar to the way that the Rivian R1S is very similar in capacity to the R1T, is have the van like be the camper, and then have this just convert this to an office and maker studio, so that my wife's 3D printers and uh, sublimation printers and her cutters and everything could just be in there, and then I have my office and studio. And then if we were just doing a quick trip where we're not doing any work whatsoever, we could leave the trailer at home base, and then just hop in the back, drop the bed down from the roof, take a nap, and keep on rolling. But that's super future time. Um, with Cybertruck, we'll use the bed for stuff, the bed of the truck, and that will free up some of the space in that garage area. But I don't. It's still going to be tow vehicle and converted camper trailer with that Cybertruck. Cybervan, we'll see, exists in two states like quantum particles and Model 2. Exactly. Model Next is on hiatus, and Cyber Thing, not Cyber Thing, Robotaxi allegedly is getting all their effort. I don't even know if Robotaxi is actually getting effort, if it's not just AI. But we'll see on that. But those are super future. This is what we have in the driveway right now. We're working on it. I don't think it's going to be as fast as some of those, like you said, the Van Lifer special videos. Like, all right, we got this done in 8 weeks. We were working around the clock. Because one, I'm not working around the clock. I got a day job. Two, I'm going to school. Three, I don't already have all the stuff. And some of the stuff we need is specialized because we're doing the off-grid as much as possible sort of situation. So once we figure out what electrical system we're going to use, unless, like I said, we get a sponsor that does it, uh, there'll be a video on that. We'll put the solar panels up. I want to do the panels on a rack rather than mounted directly to the roof for two reasons. One, because we got that vent up there. Two, um, I'm thinking there's a way that we can make the panels tiltable and have a slide out. So I want to do a very short, like half-inch above whatever's already there, rack for just have them widthwise across the length of the trailer, and then come up another like 3 inches and have a sliding system where you can have slide out ramps, slide out. Have another 6 or 4 panels on the wings with pins to lock them in. Just super simple, not hard to work with, and that would increase the solar surface area, especially since we're going to have an AC and heater running on the thing all the time. But then from that manual system there for sliding out the panels, if we can get our welder to come up with an idea where we can kind of like lift them, even if it's just on one side to the left or one side to the right, whatever, where we can get them like on pneumatic struts or something, because they're going to be heavy. For the center section that doesn't slide, we're looking at 305 pounds, 350 pounds. There's a 5 and a 3 in there. I would need some sort of mechanical assistance with that. I'm not going to get my wife up on the roof there with me to help lift them up. And then on the wings, we're looking at 200 pounds to get them tilted up. And I'm thinking up to 30 degrees again, pins, lock them in place. But that's the extra plus plus. I do know that we'll be able to make sliding panels, and we'll be able to make the fixed portion, and then that can be either like drawer slides or structural channel like you have in factories. You have the overhead sliding trolley system where I can just pull on it, pop the pins in, and not have to worry about it. We're ready to go. Pull out the pins, push it in, because since this is all homemade type stuff, I don't think that motorizing it at all would be advisable, because it's being shaken down the road every time we go anywhere and exposed to the elements. And the last thing we need is for the thing to be stuck up at like 13 feet and then we had to go under a 12-foot bridge, and then not only is it 13 feet in the air, but now you've got a sail. It's no. If it's just manual push pull, lubricate the thing, I think that will be better for us. That'll be fun. The rollout canopy the campers often come with would be super cool to see the SIG style panel. One of those. Somebody will. Yes, there's one coming to market this year, but I heard it's like 8 grand. It comes with automated for the wind, but that would be cool too if it's not too heavy, because we're already looking at 750 pounds. I plus it up if we use aluminum racking, so 750 pounds on the roof. That's out of the 5,000 we have to work with, of which 2,000 is already used by the structure. Yeah, that'll be fun though. Fun. Uh, 8K, of course it is. Yeah, and I don't even think it's going to cost as much as they're going to be charging. So once they start, I wonder if there won't be the materials to be able to do a homemade version of it. Or I have seen on eBay, I've seen rollout panels similar to the ones that the military had done tests with. It's nowhere near the quality or grade of what they were working with. The military one, I think, rolled out about 1,000 feet behind like an MRAP or something like that, and it was pretty cool. This is we're talking like maybe 8 to 10 feet. It's not really designed to re-roll. It just kind of does. You unroll it once or twice, and then they expect you to tie it down somewhere. But if these guys can make that, that means that the material science is advanced enough that you could probably order something similar and make your awning out of it. I think that'd be cool. So we won't have an awning at first. We'll have that umbrella to go on the porch. But I think an awning wouldn't be a bad idea if we can. Now that I'm thinking about it, if we can try and do the solar awning situation. Yeah, exactly. Anything I'm missing? I think that's a good start. We still got to figure out the layout. We've got our basics of what we're going to try to accomplish in there. And like I said, we need the 240, so we're going to have to do. Uh, we could do the Victron stuff. But I don't want to do all the little components, and I'm just not that. My stuff is going to look like trash. It won't be wired neat enough if you have to have all those components and all those batteries. But if I can do an all-in-one, if I'm paying for it myself, or if I can get the EcoFlow Delta Ultra, EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra, and the Smart Home Panel 2, because each of the Ultras is already 240. Each of them is 30 amp and quite a few kilowatt hours. 6 to start with. I'm thinking 4 to give us uh, 12, 24 kilowatt hours, and then 2 units so we can get up to 60 amps if we need to, but we shouldn't need 60 amps in there. But we'll see. I did see that the cheapest Coleman have an electric fireplace in them stock, so folks are getting there. Yeah, we could probably do that, but I was thinking just do a space heater if we needed supplemental, because that heat pump that we picked is rated down to negative 100, negative 100, a positive 129 degrees Fahrenheit, and a negative, I want to say it was a negative 29 degrees Fahrenheit. So if we had enough sun and batteries, we could definitely handle uh, Canada and Alaska. Probably not in the wintertime, but definitely in the late late fall and early spring. Should something go wrong, still thinking just do the snowbird thing, and in the summertime we'll be up north, and in the wintertime we'll be down south until we've completed all the states, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But definitely visit some of you guys. This will be, I think, an awesome opportunity. Like, hey, let's go see what's great in your town, and we go see it and make a video on it, and it'll be fun. Let's see where else. So we talked about HP Nomads, and definitely gonna do the stickers. So look for something this week as a draft as far as how we're gonna do the stickers, because we can start putting them on today. Uh, if anybody had some designs ready for us, and we could put them in the mail tomorrow. I learned what to do with my postal service is either put it in my mailbox or take it outside to the blue bin, or wait in line, and hand it to a human rather than trust those bins next to the self-service postage. But I think we can start that this week. I don't know if anybody's primed for it, but I'd appreciate it if you are. I'm gonna put some voting up on X and on YouTube to see if you guys think that the clear stickers or the white stickers would be better. Obviously, for the rear where it's premium, they'll do whatever they want to do, or maybe we just make it um, like a buyer's choice where we just kind of cluster the clear ones to the front and the white ones to the back, or vice versa, so it doesn't look like a patchwork quilt. Uh, Pretty sure I just found the channel because you already charged it, Jax. Uh, the nomads will just be on this channel. It'll be on Casey Green YouTube and X, G Custom on X. Oh, Supercharger review. Yeah, yeah. Might as well make those throughout the trips. MrSupercharger.com, baby. There is one in Georgia that we stopped at, and I didn't record the voice, but I did do the walkthrough with the 360 camera, where I can then say what I thought about the supercharger. And I think this will help with the baby. The main reason I stopped doing the supercharger reviews, other than that they were piling up in the server back there, was that the baby had no patience for any of the mess. And so she wanted to be in my lap, playing with the steering wheel, or out of her car seat, dealing with mommy, and for her to just be completely comfortable while I go through and show the place, take the pictures, download the video. I think this will help get a quality supercharger review because the kind of quick ones I've been doing that are still in the server with the baby, it's like, I wasn't really feeling them. But get some good ones, and then maybe have me just sit down in front of the microphone like this and do the review, and then I have the walkthrough video. We'll figure something out. But yeah, get back on the supercharger reviews because I'm sure there's somebody who's catching up to me now on the number of supercharger reviews, and I can't give up MrSupercharger.com. That's premium real estate. So you'll have like three different concepts all at the same place. You'll have Casey Green, that's just me. You'll have MrSupercharger.com and the HV Nomad over at hvnomads.com. So on this one, the Nomad Notes is our blog. I am backdating posts until we catch up to current day. So I have got the out of order uh, post for the Model X where we talk about how we've already been nomads. Some people are like, "Well, why do you want to do that anyway?" We already have been doing it, except that now we used to have a bungee cord on our back, and so we'd go somewhere and then have to go back to home base to recharge and recoup. And having this would mean that we have a little bit of a home away from home, so that we don't have to worry about rushing back anywhere. So we can do more exploration because uh, you'll just see a little spike out west when you look at the post. You'll see a little spike out west where we did we went as far as we could go on a not, it wasn't really a vacation. The contract at work was taking some time to renew. I mean, we had it, but it just wasn't, the paperwork wasn't going through, and so we were on a stop work. And I'm like, well, I could sit at home, sleep in, and watch TV, or we could get some stuff done. And so we went trucking out west and then keep trucking back just in time. We sat back in my chair about 30 minutes before it was time to come back to work. Um, but in the future, that would be just a matter of, oh yeah, we're here now. And say something happened at work, but they don't ever need us to go in. But hey, I'm near this facility. If you need me to go in, I can go take care of something for you. Or we need you to come in for some meetings or trainings at this state in this city on this day. Okay, yeah, I'll find a campground and we'll be renting there for 3 weeks while I do the training or whatever. I think that'll be awesome. And then eventually, get the passports all set up for me, the wife, and the baby, and then we can go do a Canadian tour and hit Alaska. And again, only we'll be hitting up Hawaii if somebody pays for the ferry trip there and back, and it's not going to be me unless something changes with the way all this stuff works out. That'll be fun, but it's just not practical to think that it's going to happen. I think at some point I might want to change these axles out for torsion axles, but that would then also make it taller, and that would increase the surface area uh, in the wind. I'm thinking, since we bought this used, I'm thinking it's actually a little taller than standard, because as we've been passing other vehicles of the same length on our road trips, like yesterday and ever since we got it, they seem shorter than this one, and that's going to help out with the insulation taking up room. It's going to help out with the elevator bed. I don't think I can put any insulation on the roof like we can do underneath. I gotta go measure that when we get done with the show. Okay, Ham Radio says, good night from Forenza. Good evening. Good to have you on. Yes. So, anybody wants to send me any ideas through email or direct message on X, I'd be interested. Maybe those others are loaded. Oh, you're right. Maybe they're just heavy, and mine is just sitting taller, sitting proud because it's empty. That's definitely a possibility too. I guess we'll find out. Like if we end up like at a stop and somebody else is next to us, but they're actively hauling toys. That's also a possibility. I have seen some that were like um, 7 feet, like by design, like they ordered extra height, and I've seen 10 feet, but ours is definitely not a 10 footer. But I did notice I did have to reach quite a bit to hit the vent fan. Uh, Let me open up the Rock app. The Rock app is the app for my tape measure. No area selected. I'm about to say, don't delete my stuff. All right, so the measurements of the box. Floor to roof is 83 and a 16th, and floor to the bottom of the beams is 81 and 5/16 of an inch. Um, and I was not measuring it in inches and sixteenths and 30 seconds, but I couldn't figure out how to make the app receive them in any different order. So let's convert that to something useful. Uh, 83 inches is 2.11 meters. So that's over 6 feet. Considerably over 6 feet. Last one I loaded was full of merchandise and a big display stand for Dragon Con. It definitely sat low. Yes. So even fully loaded for the X, mine won't be as low as it can be because it can take 7,000 pounds, and I'll only be able to give it 5,000 with the X, unless the Cybertruck shows up before we finish the build, and then my wife has got some more ideas, or we can just put more water in it. So 83 inches in feet, 6.92 feet. Oh, so mine is a 7 foot tall unit. So mine is taller than the rest. That's cool. And like I said, we totally lucked into this thing, and I just saw that it met some of the criteria, and that the price was like stupid low. So I put a bid in and got it. Well, actually, I put it on my liked list, and the guy made us an offer to get it out of his yard, and I accepted it. And the whole journey is I got it there in the Nomad notes, but I didn't realize till after I said okay that the door was on the wrong side. The door is on the street side, the traffic side, or in camper talk, it's on the sewer side. So instead of like looking out and having this nice beautiful vista at the park, you're looking at either your hookups or your neighbor's front door, which is gonna be interesting. So when I put a window in the door, I'm gonna put a curtain over the door. Uh, I do want to try the electrochromatic films, so we don't need a curtain, and they just turn. I know they have two types where add electricity and it goes clear, or add electricity and it goes dark, or opaque rather. I guess I'll go with whatever's cheapest. The benefit of a curtain, though, I mean, so we may still have a curtain, but the benefit of a curtain is that when you're not using the window and it's like hot or cold, you can close it and it adds a little bit of an air barrier. But if we do hit our goal of R20, then the three windows, the one in the door and then the two in the vehicle, they can only be like it's got 16-inch on center studs, so the window has to be smaller than 16 inches because we're not going to cut the frame for any reason because I'm not a welder. I'm probably going to try and find a way to learn to weld throughout all this, but I'm not a welder now. So anything we're planning other than the rack, which we can uh, get our welder to do, um, we'll have to assume that there is not going to be any welding. Before we start modifying it, we are going to use it 2 more times, maybe 3, as a cargo trailer. Once we get our paperwork in from the state, we're going to try and empty out our storage locker because uh, one, is a good time to do that, and two, they're going up on the rate next month. So I can minimize the number of months at the higher rate. I can then use that money to put into the build. And so what we'll probably do there is start putting some stuff on eBay and Facebook Marketplace as we bring it back because we've got duplicates of stuff and we've got stuff that I just don't use anymore. And we'll probably still end up with a storage locker, like a little foot locker, but nothing like this. And then if we really like it out on the road, then what we'll probably do is re-rent this place out rather than using it as a touch and go in between legs of the journey. I don't see us just being out. We can just be out because we've got a place to get mail, and we'll see. I'm thinking through all this actively. We'll see how it goes. This is exciting. So I will. I need to change where the contact email goes on this. I've got an email now at HV Nomads. It's just Kacey at hvnomads.com. And so send me a direct message on X or an email at Nomads and let me know anything that I'm overlooking or anything that should be considered. And I'd appreciate it. And then I smell lunch. So at this point, I'm going to remind you guys, I told you I would. If you haven't already called mom, call mom. Happy Mother's Day. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. I want to thank all of our channel members for your patronage. I want to invite you guys to buy stickers at hvnomads.com or straight up donate over there. Get on our uh, we have our community champions, but there's actually another page behind that. I think it's called the Donor Hall of Fame. Get on the Donor Hall of Fame. Uh, anything on that Nomads will go towards the camper and the journey and maintain the website. Anything on this on the YouTube channel isn't really going to that. It's just going to keeping the service for this turned on and paying for the software. And, uh, you're going to be a good steward of your money. Speaking of which, what do you guys think about this? I think for the camper, I want to put another section right here on the main menu where periodically I go through and literally discuss the expenses, like put them out there. Kind of like somebody pointed out how Transport Evolved was doing about the 55 miles an hour. She kind of really gets into a lot of their stuff. So I'm thinking just have a page where I just go through and just put all the expenses of the camper. So I'll put the camper, I'll put the website, put all that out there. You'll know what I spent on the camper, and you'll see that I'm not out there just putting lattes out. It'll all be functional and useful, and I'll put where it came from, who helped contribute, if it came out of my W-2, if there was a sponsor. So that's where it's going to get a little nebulous, is if there's a sponsor situation. Uh, a lot of them don't like to say if they give you a discount or whatever, so I might say something to the effect of, um, I'll have an exact amount for the camper, but then I'll have, like, if the air conditioner was given to us, I'll say air conditioner contributed by Panasonic. They're not the ones who we're looking at for their mini split, but if they give us one, sure, we'll take it. So mini split contributed by Panasonic, or say we're not allowed to say the exact price. Say it normally costs 1,000 and they give us 500. Mini split contributed by Panasonic, and here's the retail price, or not contributed by, but consideration for the mini split helped with Panasonic, and they'll put us at Panasonic, um, something like that. What is that? I want to be transparent, but I don't want to be weird about it. I think that some people would appreciate that, especially since we are sitting there taking stickers and stuff for it. but we'll see. Like I said, contribute to the channel as a channel member, contribute to the project at hpnomads.com, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you for your time today, and we'll see you next time. On Monday, tomorrow, there is the Tesla Life Express, and on Wednesday is the Tesla Life Show, so we'll catch you there.